Freemasonry is based on the religion of Osiris, the most ancient of the ancient systems. And that's what all these other societies and religions are doing worldwide. Not only societies, but nation states. That you instruct people or brainwash people by these historical stories.
Welcome back, David. We continue the exploration, something new to discover every time. Thank you for sharing your information and exploration and research with us.
Okay, yes. Thank you for having me again. I've just completed a new book. It's called The 33 Degrees. To me personally, it's probably, well, because it's the latest, of course, I'll say it's the best book I've ever written. But, it's a very important book. It's like, I'll show you an example of the reality of the world. The reality of the world is this. Many people don't want to admit it, but the reality of the world is, let me just show you how the world reacts. Like when you walk past, when you're young, um, age 15 to 20, that's when it starts. And what you see is that a beautiful girl is walking past. I'm talking about for boys. And for women, it's normally the same. And what happens is you turn around, yes, and you immediately develop an idea of I want to be with this girl. If it was like 30, 40 years ago or 50 years ago, the last generation, I want to marry this girl. These days, I want to date this girl, or things like this.
Right?
You immediately, just based on what she looks like, you've imagined her character, you've imagined how she's going to be when she's together with you, or if it's like if you're thinking if she's married to you, you immediately develop a perception. Am I correct?
Of course.
Yes, that's the majority of the population. It's only a minority that doesn't have these kind of things at a young age. Yes. Or sometimes it could be even a lot more. It depends which country you're from. It's like, let me just see. Yes. Imagine if you're in, what do you call it, Kosovo or in Turkey. So let me just show. The difference is you walk past a girl and you won't develop. Believe it or not, you don't develop the same thoughts when a boy walks past a girl. Yes? So you will say, what has this got to do with world history? Now, what I'm talking about is this. It's like many people don't seem to understand this. It's like, first, now let's have a look at this. And the 33 degrees. My new book explains this and gives examples. Yes, for example, we know one of the oldest forms of writing in images was the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. And even Professor Fomenko goes from there and shows that writing developed from there. And from there, the next, what we can see is we have, what do you call it, like for, what type of writing is this? What type of writing is this?
Well,
So for
these
what,
are pictograms, if that's what you mean.
but it's
Images.
writing. No, I don't mean it like this. It's like
Mhm.
many people will not believe this if I told them. Yes? Do you know when they designed every single character in the Egyptian writing? Now, not just Egyptian, call it Slavic or Cyrillic, call it Latin or English, or even the French with the accents, or even the modern Arabic alphabet that they're using right now, or even the Sanskrit, or even the Chinese letters. Do you know what they did? Many people think, they just naturally evolved over centuries, blah, blah, blah. Yes? So the thing is, what Fomenko found, what I found too, yes, was that I'm not going to talk about the natural one yet. First, I'm going to show the order that Flamenco also found of how they manipulated the writing system. In the same way, because they know the moment you look at something, you judge something. You judge it by appearance. So now here we've got the next. Along comes Hebrew. that we can see. I'm talking about the official order and the order that flamenco shows also, but this is based on something else. I'm going to explain that um, if I have enough time today. So now when you look at this, people seem to think these are just normal letters and that they just, they just turned up out of the sky. Many people think they're even divine because of the shapes, the numerical order. But what if they planned every single design knowing how you will psychologically react? And what if they designed them knowing how a man or woman will sexually react? I'm being serious to you here. This is the secret of the 33rd degree. Now, the thing is, many people, this is why when I said Arabic was the oldest, I said it. Yes, many people did not seem to understand. When I said it's the oldest, I was referring to like the written method by people's hands. So now in the 33 degrees in this book, I go through many symbols in many, like Arabic, in Hebrew, in modern Latin, in Greek, which developed into Cyrillic for Slavic and things like this, like in Serbia, Russia, and other places. And I go through many of these letters in some in Sanskrit, some in Chinese, and I show what they've done. It's because they sat there, they planned it, and they removed it away from the natural thing. Like, if anybody is going to think, hey, I'm very smart, I know what I'm talking about, yes, um, then yeah, and they disagree with me, they're allowed to. They can just turn off and go somewhere else right now. Here is Hebrew. Now, what they're telling us is, for example, they're telling us this developed over 2,000 years ago, up to 3,000 years. How can this be possible? When you look at the form, yes, and you turn around and think about the apples. If you understand masonry, you will know it did not develop then. The secret is in the books. So the thing is, it's like, for example, for you to write this down, it's going to take you a long time. You've got to take the pen off the paper and you've got to get the shapes correct. This is not a handwriting there. You see? Now, this is how all the biblical manuscripts are written. So based just on the handwriting, you know that those manuscripts are just several centuries old. Yes, after the printing press. So if some people would like to disagree, prove it. Prove it. Because the way human handwriting develops and the symbols, if you know the masonry and the designs, I'm going to go through some of these. Like, for example, in that manuscript, we could see the aleph and the shin. Why does the aleph have three sides? Why would they make the aleph difficult? Why did they make the shin like that? Why did they design it like that? Why does that have angles there? What is the purpose? Is that for just ordinary writing? People are writing their diaries. Nobody sits there today writing, President Putin had coffee today. His stepsister's mother did this morning. His stepsister's mother was born on this date, and her father was married to this lady. Nobody is writing this down. If anybody looks at history books, that's what they do. Did you notice?
Right, yeah.
Is this ridiculous? Does anybody ever do
Well,
these
it's
kind of things?
definitely a good question to point out, yeah.
What a good question. I'm talking about you've got thousands of friends. Have you ever heard of anybody doing this?
Well, now you could say there's newspapers and somebody could be paid to do this. I don't know.
Ah, that's different. I'm talking about naturally.
Just for fun? Unlikely.
Unlikely doing it in every city in the world, that they've got the history of every city. That's what they're telling us. So now, as we have a look, then we come to, yes, Latin. And then Latin, we can see, even if it's on the walls or something, it's in the print form. And they are telling us that people were using printed letters thousands of years ago. Is somebody in the right mind to understand this? Yes,
Hmm.
to
Good
even
point.
question this.
This means this is a
Uh,
print font. Hmm.
yes,
Hmm.
there's many similar things. So now the thing is, then we're shown Sanskrit. Yes, we're shown these things, and let me just show you from Britannica. I'm just going to show. It's like I'm being serious to you. even the angles, the letters, they've designed it to show like certain human body parts and everything. And I'll give you, I'll show some ideas now. So now here, have a look. This is Sanskrit. Yes, Devanagari scripts and other scripts we've got throughout India. Now, when you look at these alleged manuscripts, you turn on see the equal spacing, and you turn on think who's going to write like this to get the shapes perfectly correct, unless if it's for printing and it's after the 17th, 18th centuries when there was mass print. Mass print started for bigger things in only in the 19th century and 20th century. So it's like they prepared this, and then the shapes of the letters are symbols. They are symbols. Like today, yes, I'm going to give an example. Yes, today, like I'll show you. I remember when we were in high school, people were doing these things. It's not a joke. People actually did this thing in the classroom. They sat down, the boys, the girls. They were planning how to brainwash a boy or a girl, to fall in love, buy her flowers, give her a Valentine's card, and things like this. Did you have similar things in school and in college and university?
Well, maybe not like that, but okay. But I
Ah,
understand what you mean.
just give her a Valentine's card, things like that. Yeah, it's Valentine's Day. You like her, you're too shy to speak to her. That's because you were shy to speak to her based on the appearance for many people. But didn't they do that in Austria? Give Valentine's cards
Mm, I don't know.
or flowers that when people were 15 or something, you
I
just
honestly, I think that's already outdated, but I can't say.
no, I mean, I don't mean everybody, but one or two people, things like this. Didn't anybody do it? Or anything, you like some boy who's going to show off practice dancing and then thinking, I'm going to dance for her at the school dance or something. You see it in the movies and then things like this.
I mean, in the movies, yes.
No,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
in real life it happens as well. I even know one boy. There was a house party, and you know what? Justin Timberlake, he copied his dance moves, and they looked rubbish anyway. But he did it just to impress a girl. You didn't have people doing things like that.
I don't remember
I
anything off the top of my head right now, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like that boy even went and copied Justin Timberlake's hair because he said this girl has got her posters everywhere. Yes, in her bedroom. So that's what he did. Didn't people do crazy things like that in your life amongst your friends?
I can't think of anything similar right now, honestly.
But I'm sure many people can relate to it. It's not really just in movies. So now the truth is, for example, like today, when you're going to get when they do this, many people will find this understandable when they have really think about it. It's like, for example, now, yes, we have these brands. It's like I did design my own first trademark to be registered when I was around 20 years old. So I thought of many different people, and I had to have many organized meetings with many companies to think how it's going to brainwash somebody. And then you have to understand the masonry of the letters. Like I was lucky to understand many of these things that many people learn them in religions or in art. They can figure things out. Yeah, so these things, they don't think of these things just in 5 minutes. What they do is they have board meetings. Yeah, they have meetings, not just board meetings. I'm talking about groups, and they sit there and they plan things of then they go back to many people, even have competitions, and sometimes things like this, and many people are involved of thinking, how are we going to brainwash somebody? Yes, so that this thing, yeah, psychologically, like magic, is stuck in your head, like a spelling. That's why they invented the word spell for spelling. It's a magic spell because they know how humans think. So they're doing that today. So now many people don't realize, yes, many people don't realize that when they wrote these manuscripts, yes, and they're claiming that they're from the Middle Ages or older, they're not really. So what they used to have is like for Latin, for Greek, for Cyrillic, and things like these churches and the Vatican and their allies, Jesuits, and people, they used to have meetings. And just for the letter A, I'm sure they had many meetings, many debates, many quarrels of how to design the letter A, and they must have even discussed how it's going to turn out in different fonts because they wanted to know how it's going to psychologically affect the person, like a magic spell. I'm being serious to you. Many people don't know this history. So this is when I said that they reversed Arabic. So now I'm going to go back to it. So here we go back again. Here is hieroglyphics. So the hieroglyphics, they did the images because the images are just brands. Yes, so that you could brainwash people. So now when we go to Cyrillic or Kyrillic, however you want to pronounce it, used in the Balkans or in Ukraine, or in Belarus, Russia, Eastern Europe, Kazakhstan, and other places. So when you see it, people just seem to think that these shapes are natural. You don't understand that every single letter. I want you to think now, and I'm just going to think, and this is going to make you think, oh my God. You're really going to think this. You'll actually feel this. So you're seeing this there, those letters. It doesn't matter which of these modern alphabets, but the children are spending hours, hours and hours practicing and psychologically taking the shapes into their head
Correct.
and the spelling. Yes, they're doing this in all these modern languages. And not only that, on the television, you got Sesame Street. Yes. Hey,
Oh
what's
yeah.
this? Dummy, this is the letter A. A for apple. I love them, but it's like part of the brainwashing. Yes, but what many people don't understand is that these symbols and letters were totally planned. It's like it's planned so much, so deep that you won't believe it. Same like what do you call it? Like if there is a girl and she's targeting a boy, let's say you're just going for a small drink after work. Yes, um, you might not believe it, but it's like we do these things in our life. You will see that the girl is going to think, how am I going to dress? How am I going to do my hair? What type of eyelashes color will I have? What will I put on my skin color? Yes, it's summertime. Will I put oatmeal beige color to look like I got like a slight tan because it's April, May now? Yeah, so things like this. They're planning. It's brainwashing when you're thinking, I want to pull the opposite side, knowing that looks, humanity, unfortunately, yes, is a lot on their perception, what they can see immediately. Unfortunately, compared to that, it's estimated that in the West anyway, that the majority of the relationships start based on looks, and then they fail, and then some of them it started on looks, but it mistakenly or accidentally it lasted because that girl
Having
was a
a lot
nice
of
girl.
luck.
Huh? Yes,
Lucky situation, yeah.
yeah, lucky that two people, nice people, met up, but many of the people they base it on the appearance. So now that is the 33rd degree. Yes, so that is what these people knew many centuries ago. So this is in my new book. It goes through many of the symbols. It's like I've heard it before, but it's because many people don't understand these symbols. They're going to turn around and say, "No, my Cyrillic is the ancient. No, my Sanskrit is the ancient." Well, whereas I'm going to be honest to you. Yes, many people will turn around and say Arabic looks ugly because it's actually just handwriting. So it shows that those people over there have not caught up on the game and the New World Order has not taken over that side yet fully. But they've started the process. They've already modified the alphabet styles. Um, Let me just show something about the Arabic because these days there's many people are now watching these Islam videos because many people are thinking in Tatar, yeah, we can see that there was old German was old Arabic or something, and so many people are seeing this. So the thing is, many people are now, especially many Islamists are trying to claim that Arabic is divine. Yes, and that from the symbols and things like this, and but here let's just have a look at some Arabic that was used, let's say, in Poland. Yes, just a century ago. And what we will see is that in that Arabic, Yes, which is just simply handwriting. Yeah, and many people say it's ugly, it's not attractive. It's because it's just handwriting, whereas all the other handwriting scripts, basically all of them, have been created to psychologically brainwash you, so that when you're writing and reading, you've already been brainwashed into that script because you've spent hours and days while you were a child, and they've already organized the spelling. It's like a magic spell. So here is Belarusian, or in Poland, the Arabic that they used just 200 years ago. Many of these characters, you won't find them in modern Arabic, even the spelling or the system. So then there's these people who will say there's a mathematical code in like the Koran. There isn't, because when you use this Arabic script, yeah, then many Quran manuscripts and other things are in similar Arabic, and then when you use it, there is no code. So what is the definition of Arabic? Arabic is just the writing of the rabbi or your handwriting, basically. Yes? So many of these symbols, even the way Allah is written and many of the things are totally different. Yes? As we can see. Yes, so this one is, many people say, yes, that it's the most ugliest. It's because it's not done in a form of presentation compared to Latin or Greek or Cyrillic or Chinese. So when we look at all these things, we don't realize they already planned these things in advance. Now, when another thing is, because they've all got mathematical codes, many people will say it's the most advanced codes in the Russian Cyrillic. Yeah, the codes are amazing. They are amazing. The shapes are amazing. Even the way when you put them into grids to calculate the gematria, anybody would be brainwashed if I was living in Russia. That I would naturally assume this is a very ancient writing. That this is something very, very ancient, very, very intelligent, or something it must have come from the heavens, or from the gods, or from God Himself. Now, this is what people are assuming. Yes, you must have heard those stories. You've seen it online, different people around the world saying, oh no, it's, what do you call it, Macedonian is the most ancient, no, Albanian is the most
Of
ancient, no,
course,
Greek is
yes.
the most. Yeah, so they're just going on with themselves, but they have no idea that these people planned this, yes, to keep you busy. And then the thing is, by the time you die, the thing is, by the time you die, you don't realize that maybe you failed in your life because you don't even know why you're here. Many people are now claiming that they know something is divine. Have you noticed this? Yes,
Again
in
and
their
again.
language. Yes,
Yes, again and again, people like to claim that something is divine, of course,
yes.
yeah.
And then the thing is, it's like, let me just show an example here now. Yes, even for basic numbers. Here, this is there's a preview on Amazon of my new book, the first 20 pages. So I'm going to explain this now. For example, the number 33. When you look at the number 3, many people think it just naturally developed over time. Other people think maybe it's divine. But what if a group of intelligent people sat down and they made sure that these shapes were created for a certain reason? Just look at this. The number 1 has got one line. The number 2 has got two major points, but at the bottom they put a squiggle because many people got confused with other symbols in other alphabets. Now the number 3 has got 3 points. They created it like that on purpose. Yes, they did these things on purpose. It was not accidental. Now, when you look at all the numbers and all the letters, and you go through them, even in simple English or French, if you want to, with the accents, when you go through it, you'll turn around and think, oh my God, they sat around a table and they planned, they modified, and thought, how is it going to affect people? Yes, how's it going to brainwash people? So that then first for many years learning the alphabets, then the spelling of the words, how the words will psychologically affect you. Or, for example, everybody knows, yes, um, I want you to just say it naturally. How do you think the word knife should be spelt in English? What is the natural way to spell the word knife?
Well, there could be 100 ways. I could say now Naif. I could make up other things also. It
Yes.
depends.
Well, but the most simple way is Nife. But for no reason they put the letter K there, knife. There was reasons for
Hmm.
it. Yes. So that how it will psychologically affect you. Yes. And also how it will affect the gematria. Yes, gematria, because the extra letters and everything, when you do it, it's going to balance with other words. Because an alphabet is like a limited set of characters, like 26 in English. So in any book or anywhere, you're going to find gematria. You're going to find amazing mathematics. Yes, realistically, many people don't know this. So they planned the spelling. Like when you say good morning and God morning, they planned the spelling and even the words. They know that good morning is going to be a conflict with God in the morning. They also know that the word morning is going to be in conflict with, what do you call it? Somebody is mourning from death. Yes? You know this. Now, if you
Right.
went to another side of the world, let's say in Turkey, they say günaydin. They say merhaba, günaydin. Now, the thing is, many people know that it's a Muslim nation there. And the word guna means, sins. Yes, or something bad. Now, if you went to Russia, yes, they know that maybe up to a quarter or half of the people have got a Muslim background, Muslim ancestry, or Muslim family, which you'll say dobrodin. Yes? Now, the word, or even in the Slavic countries, but anyone who knows that dobro in some of the old dialects means, and din like the day, even in Arabic, or din could mean your faith in, not Arabic, or even in old Germanic, you could say it means your faith in God. And dobro actually means, like a fight, fighting with your faith. Dobro din.
Mm-hmm.
It's so the thing is they played with the words. Everyone knows that when you see in the banking system, they say, "Do you have a current account?" That's a water current. Is the current?
Right.
People have said this is the account flowing. Yeah, many people have got used to it, but they don't know how deep this is and what this has got to do with, magic. This book doesn't go through the magic. This book, 33 Degrees. It doesn't go through the magic, but it shows the psychological brainwashing. And it's actually so deep that they used alphabets. They used, nature and everything and mathematics to actually invent world history based on an original history. It's shocking, but the book shows examples. Like, for example, they say the Prophet Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl. You will be surprised that they invented this story from the 33rd degree or the number three. You'll say, how? You'll think, how could they have done it? So that if anybody reads the story in Arabic or something, or if they read it in a Western language, knowing Muslim a few basic Muslim symbols, the story sounds believable. Do you know this? It sounds believable. You won't think about it until you think, what is this 6-year-old? I won't let my 6-year-old sister marry somebody like that, or 6-year-old daughter or granddaughter. Yes,
I mean, the
at first
simple
you don't
thing
think
would be
about
just because 3 plus 3 equals 6, just as
it.
a,
It's
a
more than
marker.
this. It's more than this. It's not that. Believe me, it's like, you know what do you call it? When I wrote this book, you know, some of my family and friends, when they saw it, they thought, what the hell is this? They just couldn't believe it. That's one story I'm talking about. The rest, how did they make the Trinity story believable? People believed it for a long time. Many people still believe it now. Oh, the number three? Yes, that's got a lot to do with it. Even the writing system, everything. And the thing is, it's like if you read the full book, then you'll understand how they've brainwashed you that even when you're walking down the road, when you see the letters, our number plates, everything, the writing, the billboards, everything has been planned. It's like a magic spell. It's like a spell. I'm being serious to you. That the entire you're living like under a total spell, and it's difficult to get out. Yes, it's difficult to get out unless if you know it. Now let's go on to masonry. Now, the two of the greatest masons in the entire history of masonry. Yes, people look at the recent history instead. They're going to say this is the most ancient order, masonry or the machinery of how things work. Yes, two of the most famous are Albert Pike, and let's see if you know the other one.
You always mentioned him, but I forgot his name again. I looked him up already, but also Albert something.
Yeah, Albert Pike and Albert G. Mackey. Yes, they are the most famous Freemasons. Many people will tell you. Um, from the 19th century. Yes, and it's like many people will study their works, trying to understand Freemasonry. Now, if you read these books, Freemasonry or how the Jesuits work, or how many of the secret organizations around the world or religious organizations worked, how they brainwashed you with statues, with art, with writing, with words, everything. They all work together. Yes, they've been doing it for a long time. Even today, they have meetings. The Knights of John Malta. They have meetings with Ireland, they have meetings with embassies around the world, and other things, politicians, local town halls. Many people are, with companies, and they design things, brands. They start, or they arrange the spelling. It's known that many of these people in organizations like people who've had Jesuit education or training, they don't realize that this is already inside their brain. Yes, and because they don't know it, they can't control it. Yes. So Jesuit schools are, it's well known that Masons were leaders throughout many nations and for many decades, and many politicians, even average Masons in schools, institutions. It's well known. Yes, it's well known.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes, in
yeah.
many countries.
So yeah, so now these type of people, yes, how do they think and what do they do, yeah, in many of these organizations. So this is about Albert Pike. So you can read it, how I've typed it out, because that makes it easy English. Go ahead.
Albert Pike allegedly lived in the 19th century. He was the sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council Scottish Rite of the Freemasons. This council is also known This council is known as the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree.
Okay, now let's move on and see what this man, yes, who's the Grand Commander of the Supreme Council, basically he's the leader. Yes, and notice they're based in the United States, but of course they're going to say it's from an ancient tradition from Europe, and they're going to say from England, an old tradition, and they've got the most ancient of the ancient system, and based on a very ancient system. That's what they're going to tell you. Yes, the most ancient form of masonry or machinery. Yes, and what does this machinery do? So this is a preview from the book that if people see, but you can read it. I put it there.
There are many secret societies and religious orders around the world with many secrets. Many of these secrets are hidden in words and languages, and numbers and symbols and art. The Eye of Providence, which is also known as the all seeing eye of God, is a famous symbol which is connected to the Illuminati.
Yeah, read it all. Yes.
I'm not sure if there's more. Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Um, why did they have all these symbols? Albert Pike wrote in his Morals and Dogma that, quote, the symbols of the wise always become the idols of the ignorant multitude, end quote. And only the people who are chosen or initiated understand the true meaning of the symbols. In simple terms, many things that people worship around the world were actually invented by intelligent or illuminated people. Only the chosen and initiated people are allowed to know the truth of these things.
Yeah, for example, when we look at brand names, so when they use these words, it sounds very difficult. Many people think it's the occult or something like this, but it's the occult because of human behavior. It's actually human behavior that they know that when you see a girl, you don't think with your heart or with your brain, you're thinking with your body. You're thinking with your body based on that person's appearance. Now, what they did is the alphabets and the brand names. So when we say only the chosen people understand the symbols, many people think it's something crazy or something. No, it's only the chosen people who knows what the McDonald's symbol stands for. Why is it like that? Or the LG symbol, or the Samsung symbol, or the Boss symbol, or let's say the Hilton Hotel brand, or the Nescafe thing. So the thing is, those things, are more commercial. So many people will find some of the secrets. But what about the meaning, the symbols for, let's say, the Hilton? That's got the letter H, the letter I, the letter L, the T, O, and N. That's 5 symbols people haven't realized. 6 symbols that are there based on the alphabet. Who designed those shapes? Nescafe, Nescafe. Who designed those 7 symbols? And why did why did they design it like that? And how does it affect you? You see?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things. It affects you because from a child you're spending many, many years. Now notice exactly what Albert Pike said, and the title of his book, it's called Morals and Dog, was it?
Morals and dogma, but just to prove what you just said, many children today, they don't know many plants or animals, but they know many car brands, for example. So just
Yes.
to verify
This
what
has
you're
got to
saying,
do
yeah.
with squaring the circle. I'll go through that in a minute. Yes, it's because many people are trying to figure out squaring the circle. Yes, they can go and figure it out. Yes, or they can read my book and it goes through the details. So now, this book about the dog morals, or the morals of the dog, or what's it called?
Dogma
By Albert Pike. Morals.
and dogma.
Yes, the word was specifically chosen because they know how humanity behaves. Yes, and people are going to think it's something special or occult or something. The dog. Yes, so that just shows you what type of a book it is. So now the thing is, even he says it. The symbols, or the statues, or the art of the wise, or the stories, the symbols in the stories have become the idols of the ignorant multitude. People are worshipping these things. It's like, look how ridiculous this is. Yes, it's like there's ridiculous stories that we read in the Bible, but forget it. People or even in Islam, there's ridiculous stories, like Prophet Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl. Yes, and things like this. But people aren't thinking, who made these stories, and why are they symbolic? What and how did they become like an idol? Because people are now worshipping stories. They're worshipping these things. They're worshipping. Everyone thinks an idol is just like a statue. It's not. People are worshipping the history. People are worshipping the symbols within these stories. So he even admits, whoever he is, I'm going to go through it in a minute. Albert Pike didn't write these books, and they just used somebody's name, used photos for an identity. It was actually written by somebody above the Supreme Council, somebody above the Freemasons. There's another organization way above there. Yes, people will be able to figure it out. If they read my books, they'll realize, oh my God, even the 33-degree Masons and their Supreme Council is nothing. There's somebody else way above them, and they're just there to keep people busy. So basically, yes, and the symbols which only the adepts understand. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes, and the word adepts, many people don't even realize, but what do you call it? The word adepts basically means people who are, chosen or initiated. So same like if you work for, Walmart, or if you work for, for Walmart, if you're chosen by them, you will know what their symbol means for the Walmart logo. You see? That's what it means by chosen and initiated. But many other people seem to think that it's something else. Yes, it's like here is Walmart. Yes, they've got this and they know how it's going to psychologically affect you. The letters and the fonts that they chose. And they've got the 6-pointed, maybe a star or a sun, or how you wish to, interpret it. So they know that people are going to interpret this and it's going to affect them. They knew. It wasn't an accident, and they had to choose it based on that they've got competition as well. You see, so based on these other things, and they chose the spelling. Is it going to be spelled with like WLL, Walmart, or is it not going? Is it going to be Walmart, a bit shorter? So these things, in the same way, yes, like the design of the logo there, they designed the alphabets. Many people don't realize these things, and only the intelligent people, yes, in the company, are the chosen ones who are getting paid and they're making money. They know the truth. Now, the thing is, because the businesses come and go, so brands come and go, but the alphabets, they only designed them in like 2, 3, 400 in the last 2, 3, 400 years, um, during and after the Renaissance. Yes, and I know many people are going to say it's older, Yes, but the thing is, if you read the book, you'll realize that they were planned, and all of them were organized by the same organization at the top, because there is a mathematical balance, and in the way you translate things and the symbolic meanings. I've given examples in my books of many symbols. Let me show you an example of these symbols in the book. Like, for example, I showed this in the beginning, and then I go through all these symbols and I show them, and I show the meanings later on. But let's go through them. Like, for example, you can go to. I want you to tell me what all these symbols are, one by one and slowly. Yes, so that people understand. The first, starting clockwise. What's the first one, or from top line and going down?
Okay, is this 33?
Yes. Now, when you see that 33, what do you think of straight away?
I'm not sure.
Okay, carry on the next one. What do you think of the next one?
So to the right or going down?
Yeah, going along the line as if you're reading.
All right, yeah. Reading in the modern sense, yes.
Or go down as if you're going from top to bottom, the next one down.
All right, yeah, this one I should know it's a particular type of Christian cross.
But what do you think of when you see it?
Maybe, well, a cemetery if you want.
Yes, death and the cemetery, and also there's three crosses. It makes you think of the Trinity, but it immediately makes you think of if anybody knows the story. So the story, believe it or not, was actually based on the symbol. They designed the symbol first, that there was a crucifixion, that there was three men. But if anybody reads the Gospels properly, oh, by the way, the Gospels, you can check. Actually, in Old Germanic, it means God and then spell. They knew that these books were just spells. They were playing around. People rejected these books in Europe, believe it or not, 300 years ago. They had to destroy people and separate families. I put this in my book, Orphan Trains. People seem to think that Europe was Christian centuries ago. It wasn't, because you can even find it in the languages that even the words have disappeared. But now, if you look for the meaning of the word gospel, they're going to tell you it means a good tale or a story. But if anybody reads it, what happens is when you separate families, yeah, that you can see this in the Palestinians going to America. Yes, the first generation arrive in America and they're dressed same like the Europeans were 100 years ago in there. Many people will call it rags and headscarves and towels on their head. People say it like that, but I'm being realistic. Yes, then the next generation is going to wear a bit of a fashionable hijab. Then the third generation doesn't even have it. And then they don't even know why the other generation had it. So when people turn around and say, hey, many people are going to say, in the 19th century, early 20th century, my grandma or grandmother's mother used to wear this headscarf, but they were Christian. How did they become Christian? Why can't they find their family ancestry before then? Why would somebody end up in America? What are these Muslims doing in Europe and America? If you actually turn around and look at it, actually realistically, more than half of them actually came from war zones or places that Europe and America devastated their homeland, so they ended up there. It was no accident that so many Algerians ended up in France and in Holland in the 70s and 80s. And in the 60s, they started coming. France was trashing Algeria. France was going up, messing up villages. There was a lot of rape. So these people, then they ran to the cities. Then they thought, I can't eat anywhere. Then there were smugglers, French smugglers, who thought we were going to smuggle them so that they end up in France working in factories. Many people don't know this, of how many of these people, or how many of these people ended up in Europe, in West Germany or in Holland. When people look at this history, you're going to think, what? We smuggled and kidnapped these people? Oh, now we don't want them in Europe? Did you know this story, Raphael, by the way?
No, this story, no.
It's actually disgusting. Go and check it out. How these French gentlemen, yes, many of them are from Christian and Jewish backgrounds. They used to just go into the villages and rape people, thinking, I feel like sex today. Yes, yes, in the 50s, 60s, things like this. And then the people, because so as you destroy villages, when you do that, they're going to end up in your cities. Yeah, because the French were in the coastal cities. Yes, so they're going to come into your cities and then they're going to outnumber you, which they did. Yes, are you beginning to see? So
Hmm.
that's what happens. So if they're going to keep on, blowing up the Middle East, all these people are going to end up here. Yeah, go on, go on, support these wars. Blow up Iran. The next one, God knows, make the war bigger in Syria, blow them up. Saudi Arabia next. Algeria, it's on their list. They want to demolish these places. Yeah, go on, and then they're all. It's like we've already got a crisis in Europe, economic crisis because of the selfish society we've got. But so the thing is, people aren't looking back like 150 years ago. Yes, when even the printing doesn't make sense. I've shown that it's impossible. They couldn't have printed these small letters. So now you've got to the cross, as you can see. Yes, and when you look at the cross alphabetically, what does it look like? The three crosses. Go back to that
Maybe
picture.
like
What does it look
an
like?
E or something,
An E sideways, yes, and the number three sideways,
right?
and the W. Yes, good. Now you're
Right.
beginning to
Hmm.
see it wasn't done accidentally. They sat down, they planned it. Same like when I'm making a brand name logo. Like when I was 20, I did my first own trademark, and I was planning things, many different designs. There were many people involved. I'm thinking, how's it going to brainwash people in Canada? What's it going to have an effect in Japan? Many things. So now the next symbol after the three crosses, what do you see?
So going down, this is the Shin from Hebrew alphabet.
Yes. And what can you see? Describe it.
Well, also would be three to me, but I think because it's the Yod, and I know this that it's supposed to signify a flame, so maybe that's only me saying this now. Um,
Okay, so now I'm going to tell you more, but the thing is, soon people are going to think there's more. So the shin. Now, I didn't want to give the secret away. There's a mega big secret to this, like you said, flame. Now, if anybody's read the Quran, they're going to understand this straight away. The three crosses. When you look at the symbol above it, there's three lines. That's three. Then there's the crosses have got 3 points. That's three and three. That's 33. Now you've looked at the one below it, the shin, the Hebrew shin. It looks like a flame, or like death, or fire. And there's three flames there, and there's three lines. I mean, so that's three and three. That's 33rd degree again, and the fire and the shin. Nobody is going to explain this to you unless if you read the Quran. So many people think I was pushing Islam. No, I figured out the 33rd degree when I read the Quran. Yes. Now go down to the next one.
the next one
What do you
is
see?
the flower of life pattern.
Yes, describe it. What is it? What is the shapes, the symbols? What do you see?
Well, you've shown it many times, so it
But it's not enough.
has
It's
en
not enough. Many
yes.
people still don't know. Let's see if you can figure out the secret. This is the 33rd degree. I'm going to see. Let's see if you figure it out. What do you see in that symbol?
I don't think I can figure out the secret, but um, basically, so it's the circles, which and also at the same time especially this projection, it's also a cube, like you have on the right hand side. So you could insert the cube into it, of course.
Don't go to the right hand side. That's not fair.
No, but I'm just
Yes.
saying it's
Focus
also a
on one
cube.
symbol.
The cube is also
Okay.
inside
So
the
now,
symbol.
okay. So now that you mentioned the cube, it's because many people didn't realize how valuable my books were. They just saw the numbers. They saw the square, the cube, this and that. 666, 19, 33. It's because many people thought that 33 was just the secret of these secret organizations. But the Quran mentions the 19. And I told people, I've said this before, you can't get to the 33 without which number?
19.
Yes, why would I say that? I'm going to explain now. Like, for example, this is a common symbol. Freemasonry is a big brotherhood. Thousands of people, maybe even millions are connected to it. But a bigger brotherhood is Islam. That's the biggest one. But have a look. So now what do you see in this Freemasonry? The main symbol. What are the two main things that everybody talks about? Forget the G for God or whatever. Yes.
It's
What are the two main things that you
the
see there?
square and compass.
The square and the compass. Okay, good. Now with the square, what shape are you going to draw?
With the
From the
square,
picture before, you've already mentioned it. You already know.
right? So with the lower one, you can make a cube or a
Good,
rectangular,
good.
rectangular.
Rectangular doesn't mean anything. You can't brainwash anyone. They're always different. Good. So now, the other one is the compass. What shape are you going to draw with it?
Circles.
Circle. Please don't say it's going to be a sphere or an oval shape. Yeah, don't stick to anything. Let's stick to the basics, because the average person, people think I'm attacking people. I'm not. It's because many people don't know this level of how history has been manipulated, and they're fighting me because they're from a Christian or from a Jewish or from a Hindu or from a Muslim or a Buddhist background. And no matter what, it's because they can't even see it in the letters. When you know it in the letters, then you can figure out when these alphabets were invented based on the shapes. Yes, because then you will know how the ancient order progressed. As Masonry says, we are following the most ancient of the ancient orders. And they're saying that these symbols, yes, and these stories and other things, what do you call it, people are worshipping them. They are, because they think their alphabets or their manuscripts or their stories are divine. Yes. So the thing is, so now because we're on the flower of life, it's a circle. So now, which one of those two do you think comes first? The compass, or what do you call it? The rulers to make the square. Which one is first?
I would say the dot. A dot is first, but it's not the answer.
No, no, I'm talking about other than two. Realistically, choose, because I'm talking about how they brainwash you. I'm not talking about just whatever. I want you to think how you're going to brainwash people. Which one will come first out
For
of them two?
for some reason, I would choose the circle first, but I have no idea.
Okay. So that's why, yes, that's why they turn around and say these things are called the square and the compass. Yeah, you can find it. Yeah, it's not just in Masonry, it's in many other secret organizations. But the famous sentence is, yes, the famous
Squaring the
sentence is
circle.
good. So now I'm just going to show you this, and then people will just find some bullstein or garbage. You can spend thousands of dollars reading Masonic books, and you still won't figure it out. Yes, unless if you're somebody that you've done, created brands, created alphabets yourself, created things like this, like the first alphabet I did. I told you, I think I was 9, or before the age of 10 anyway, I'm sure. Yeah, with its own gematria codes, private alphabet, and I was thinking of the shapes and designs, how I could remember it, how a few of my close friends could remember it. So it's called squaring the circle. So which one of those two comes first? You can see it in the
Yes,
sentence,
here
squaring
it
the
will say
circle.
it's the square first. Yeah.
No, 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 it doesn't. If
Wait,
you are squaring the
squaring
circle,
the circle.
so which one do you have first, the square or the
Right,
circle?
right. You have the circle first. Yes.
Yeah, because you're turning the
Yes.
circle into a square. That is the secret, a major secret in Freemasonry. So that's why when I told people, so many people will turn on and say, yeah, they're going to turn on and say, hey, I already know, or whatever. They didn't know. Everybody knew the number 33 was there. Many people knew. They didn't have a clue what that number meant. They didn't. Am I correct, Raphael? Did
Yes.
anybody in the world know? That's how closely guarded the secret is. I
Only
don't think
the only reference, I mean, with the 33 and the other things you explain is unique in any case, but with the 19, I'm only aware of one book by the Sufi Society, but there they talked about the 19 code in the Quran, where you already
that they're
explained
promoting a code.
it, of course, it's a
Yeah,
plant, but I'm saying that's
yeah.
the only way
They're not,
where I was
they're not
aware of
talking
the
about
19.
how this affects alphabets, histories,
No,
19 Jesuit generals. Like, if
no,
you're
of
in the
course
Knights of
not. No, no,
Malta,
no.
you've got to knock on the door 33 times, and then you go past the door. What is this 33 knock? So once you read this new book, what do you call it, 33 degrees, you'll understand. So from here, I show squaring the circle. I've showed it many times, but people didn't manage to figure it out. They just thought, so what? So what? But you don't understand how they put the magic spell all over the world because of the spelling. And it's from spelling, that's how they do black magic. That's the next level. I've not put any of that in these books that I've done, but you have the circle first. And from the circle, you have the 19. Now, in my book, Secrets of Kabbalah, I focused on the number 19. Yes, you've read that book. Yes, do you remember? Yes,
Yes.
Secrets of Kabbalah. That focuses on the 19 and it explains the circle. So then you get to the square, and the square in 3 dimensions is 33 from that circle. Yes. So Secrets of Kabbalah explains the 19. Yes, and the 33 degrees in this one, this goes to when you've actually turned the circle into a square. So this is what the 33 degrees is. Yes, so if you read it, it's best to read it in that order, I advise you, but it's up to you. Yes, so the thing is, when I showed this, yeah, you probably didn't even realize it at the time. It's only now when I tell you, squaring the circle. How important is this now to understand history, geometry, and even all the fake science that they're telling you? How important is this now that you've understood what squaring the circle is and the square in the compass is for? The compass, draw the circle. The square, you draw the cube. Are you beginning to see now how
Mm-hmm.
important this is?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So maybe it's because I had to start from somewhere. It's because you start from the basics and you go further. Remember, I told you 2 years ago. I said, as I talk more, I'm going to explain more. It's not like I'm revealing something. I'm some, divine person. No, I'm just some ordinary guy. Yes. It's like I'm thinking how I'm going to get the message across. So I started from the circle. It's squaring the circle. So I started from there. So obviously, I started first with the lies in history, then showed a little, then went on to the 19, and then showed how the 19 was used to falsify the history. If anybody reads my books, I mean, the orders that I gave them, then they'll realize this, that I'm progressing. Then I've explained what the 19 is and who these people think they are. And now I've gone on to the 33rd degree. Yes, that's not the highest, believe it or not. Yes, they tell you it's the highest, the 33rd degree in what they call the levels that you could progress. But if you're going to talk about in the form of the global dictatorship, the people who are in power, then it's not the highest. There's people who are above them. So now let's go back to this page here. My book describes the symbols and the shapes. Yes, here I'm just showing just very little. It's like it's very shocking if anybody reads this to think, damn, many people will turn around and think, I'm taking my children away from this side of the world. It's like you're under a magic spell. The road signs, everything, the bus numbers in your city, and even the tram lines, the train numbers, every single detail is planned based on this third degree. Do you know this? You're under a spell, the spelling. So now let's go to the next one. The next column, the Islam symbol. Yes.
Yes, so I have a
What do you think?
moon, crescent moon, and a star.
Yes. The next one.
Then you have a Christian cross or a
No, not
cube.
the you're going down. The Om symbol.
Oh,
Now, what
all
did you
right.
notice about the moon symbol and the five-pointed star?
Um,
When you rotate it, it looks like a W, and even the Shin symbol looks like a
right,
W. Yes. And the Om symbol, when you rotate it, it looks like a W.
right.
Yes, and there's 3 points on the Om symbol on the back and three on the front. That makes it the 30 and the 3. What's the next symbol down?
I'm not sure. It's similar to the Arabic numeral 9, but I'm not sure what it's supposed to
Yeah,
be.
when you turn it upside down, it's the number 6. It's in the current Arabic alphabet, and I've shown you that the symbols in Arabic just 100 years ago that they were using in Poland were totally different. So it's like the current Arabic alphabet, the shapes and everything, they planned it, and they're trying to turn it into because they've got more plans for the Middle East and Muslim countries, but because Muslim countries are more poor and because they follow the Quran and they're not entering these modern systems where you're going to be like brainwashed based on the writing and everything. Those people can be more awake than how we are. Yes. Well, anyway, it's a number 6 upside down and other things. This goes further. Like it's called the letter Wow in Arabic. And what is the letter Wow? Would you say in let's say English, the closest equivalent?
W.
Good. Now, what's the next symbol on the next column?
So we have the Christian cross.
Yes, what do you notice about that?
Well, that also 3 points, if you will, on the top.
Yeah, okay. I've just left that as basic. So now, next, you get to 666, yes?
Yes.
So then, if the wow and the W, like I've told many people, like Arabic is like the older one. for humans. I'm not talking about for these organizations and the people in power who wrote the hieroglyphics, who created the Hebrew, what do you call it, the Hebrew for the manuscripts. They call that square Hebrew, by the way. Yes, even though it's not square, it's something else. It has another meaning. Yes. So the thing is, if you have the W and the W is a 6, so what is the World Wide Web in Arabic?
I'm not sure. What do you mean?
W is the letter wow
Yes.
in Arabic, and it's a 6 upside down. Yes. What is it? What is WWW then numerically, symbolically?
Well, it's 666. So what do you mean?
Yes, it's the symbol of the wise.
Hmm.
You see. So now, the next thing, what do you see below the 666 numbers?
This is in light blue. I believe this is this name of Allah.
Yeah, in Arabic. Yes, but whoever designed it like that had a purpose. Yes, they had a purpose because it looks like the Christian cross and it looks like the W. Now, when I said that the wow and the W 666, I didn't give enough information away. The full information is in the book that when anybody goes through it, it's like at first you think, ah, it's just this and that. There's more to it. You have no idea what they've done. The next is the Star of David. What's below that?
Then we have this is also Hebrew, but for some is this Yod 3 times?
No.
But it's a Hebrew letter, no?
Yes. Okay. What's below that?
Um, I don't know.
That's the Arabic symbol for shin. Yes.
All right.
And notice it's got the three
Three
dots
dots.
similar to
Hmm.
the Hebrew one, or it's like the three crosses, or it's three, and then the other one is a three. So that's 3 and 3, 33. So that shows you,
Hmm.
if you look at all the other letters, that you see that this was invented exactly at the same time as the people who created the Hebrew that's in the manuscripts. So if the Hebrew that's in the manuscripts and they're going to claim that's 3,000 years old, then you've got to push this Arabic backwards by 3,000 years old. And also
Hmm.
you've got to say the Sanskrit one is Sanskrit, but then you've got a problem. You've got the numbers. Why does it look like the number 3? Why does it look like a W? Then you've got to put the Latin backwards by 3,000 years. Then you've got to put the numbers, and you mess up because you say they're like 1,000 years old from the Middle Ages. So that's when you realize history is a lie. So now, the next one. What's the next symbol in the next column?
W,
Why do you think
Latin
it was
script.
designed like this? Why was it designed like this?
Because again, I have 3 points at the top, and then
Yeah, there's other reasons as well. It's explained in the book. I show one or two letters, but people will be able to figure out A B C D E F G H I J K, and it goes on.
and there's a
Yes,
triangle in the middle, of course. So
yeah. It's not just a triangle. There's more. It's sexual, like I told you. It's to do with magic and many other things. Now, the next symbol. What do you see?
that is, I believe, again the name of Allah, but in a different script.
Yeah, the print format. Yeah, it looks a bit presentable. Yeah. But the thing is, it looks like a number 3 at the bottom and number 3 at the top. You rotate it, it's a 33.
Yeah, that's clear.
Yes. Yeah. And what's the next symbol below it?
I think again the same, but in a different script.
Yeah, it's the symbol of Allah backwards. By the way, that's
Hmm.
Chinese. Yes.
All
So
right.
then when you look at it, yes. So then when you look at these things and then the Chinese meaning and all these things in Taoism, that's when you turn around and think, damn, they've told us Taoism is like, they're telling us it's thousands of years
Hmm.
old. But and then Islam, they're telling us like it's like from the Middle Ages. Yeah. Then you turn around and think, hey, how can this be possible in the other side of the world? That's when you realize that all these symbols and all these scripts were written, invented recently. Yes. So the thing is, let's go back to Albert Pike. I love this guy because the evidence shows he didn't exist, and I like his book. About the dog morals. Yeah, called morals and dog. Yes, or the dog morals. Yeah, I like to call it dog morals because that's what it is. It's the people in power and the businessmen. Businessmen call it, not the wise and the intelligent who know these secrets. It's because they're making money from all this. That's how they controlled you. Yeah, so here is what do you call it? Let's see how Albert Pike describes world religions. Now you can read it starting from the paragraph I've written.
Albert Pike wrote that the mysteries of Osiris, Isis, and Horus seem to have been the model of all other ceremonies of initiation subsequently established among the different peoples of the world.
Stop. So basically, even he knows, even I know, when we look at the system of all these religions of Buddhism, Hinduism, yes, Christianity, Judaism, I'm being serious. All of them, it doesn't matter which branch or whatever. Yes, the way that people get baptized, or the way that they even just draw the cross on their body, or the way people do many decorations, or even the paintings. It's like many people think this is just natural. Let me just show you. Um, Let me just show you. The thing is, many people don't realize these things. My book explains this a bit more, and unfortunately, yeah, some people will say this is a bit far. It's not far. It's because the transgender agenda. Yes, they planned it many centuries ago, and I've explained a little introduction to the transgender agenda in my book, The Last Crusade. Yes, I go through it there and I show that they've had it, from the Renaissance, 16th, 17th centuries, only 300 years ago or something, yes. So now, when we look at these images of Jesus Christ, it doesn't matter, it's too late. It doesn't matter what sect of Jesus Christ you're from, whether you say he's black or white or many people, but many people have got him with long hair. Now they're going to try to describe this to you and say, this was some ancient sect or something that they had long hair who were out in the deserts. Yes? And they didn't cut their hair. They're going to say these things and other things. But what if? What if the story has got to do with the transgender agenda and they're going to bring it soon? Because they didn't write these stories for no reason. Oh, believe me, these stories in the Bible, they didn't create these images in many churches and other places for no reason. Yeah. Shall I tell you one of the things that is supposed to be a secret, but they bring it out? It's explained in the book, but I'll give you an example. So they say nobody will believe the story if somebody walks around today saying I'm a virgin. Now the Quran explains this story in a different way, and we can see this in many of the paintings and the arts. And they've hidden the story, but the people who know or chosen or initiated are the clever people or who were working for the artists, because these it's like, for example, before I go on to this, let me just show you Michelangelo. Yes, I will just show you how people think. Even I know that this is how people think, so it's easy to brainwash people. So now the Sistine Chapel, yeah, they've even used a very good name, Sistine and Chapel. People will think, wow, it sounds professional or holy. So now Michelangelo, when you think of his name, yes, he didn't exist. This is the first time I'm going to say it. Why do you think they gave him a name, Michelangelo?
Because it sounds like Archangel Michael.
Michael and then angel. So one, no matter what, because of the alphabet and then the writing and the capital M, yes, and then the angel, Angelo, and everything, immediately it's got into your brain. That immediately you like his name. You can't help it. Have you noticed this?
Makes
I
sense?
like his name, Michelangelo. It's such a beautiful name, like Los Angeles. It's beautiful. You can't help it. No matter what religion you're from, you'll think, Michelangelo or Michelangelo or Michelangelo. It's like angel. Then, so now the next thing is he's done the paintings. So now, no matter what, even if you are against such things of portraying God as a man or something like they've shown here, yes, and God, what do you call it, created Adam. Yeah, on the Sistine Chapel. If anybody goes to Rome, they could see it. The thing is, the name. They chose the name on purpose. It took them time that they were what do you call it, when they're writing these stories, that the thing is the evidence shows Michelangelo didn't exist. If you understand and the secrets of how the Jesuits follow this ancient system. Yes, so now let's go back to the image of Jesus Christ. Yes, and when you look at this, unfortunately, yes, many people don't realize these things, but the thing is, yes, they've got him, especially recently. Yes, and they've got him. in like with long hair. Yes, it's because I'm going to tell you now because they're actually talking and they're going to advertise it more in the next 20, 30 years. And anybody who understands how masonry works, yes, then you will understand this. The transgender agenda. He's got long hair like a woman. Okay,
Obviously, yes.
many people are going to think that nothing of this. Many men have long hair. No, there is more to it because now they've started in the last 5, 6 years to put this story forward. And it's something to think about. Same like if anybody hears this, a girl who claims it's a virgin, nobody's going to believe it. So now the Quran has a different story for the virgin birth. Yes, so the thing is, and the Quran has a different story already ready, almost as if it knew that these people were going to say this. They've started it. You can find many of these stories in major publications that they control. Masons work in them, Jesuits or other people, whoever, CIA you want to call it, or whoever you want to call it, or whatever, many of these big people in tabloids and other things, they've started saying, like, for example, can a woman give birth to a man without a man? Yes or no?
No, but of course they want to
Why
say
not?
yes. They
Why
want to
not?
say yes, of course.
A woman can't, scientifically, because she doesn't have the male blood or male chromosome.
Right.
Yes? Yes. So now, if Jesus Christ was born just from a woman can only give birth to a woman. She's got female chromosomes. What is Jesus Christ?
Interesting idea.
What interesting idea. They're advertising it right now. They're even, it's in church publications. It's going to become very big in the next generation.
What are they advertising? He's a clone or what? Sorry.
No, he's a transsexual, transgender. He's a woman. He's a
Dressing as
man
a.
in a woman's body with a woman's body. No, it's because, for example, I mean, serious. It's like Mary was a virgin.
Hmm.
So now they're saying this. It's because you can say any of these stories as long as it makes money, as long as it fits your agenda.
Right.
And the thing is, there's nobody to challenge them. The only people who can challenge them is that the Quran has an alternative history. Yes, or the Bible actually doesn't have anything that it could say scientifically on this. It doesn't even have the story of what happened to Jesus Christ when he's born. So the thing is, in the Quran, it tells you, how he was talking and communicating with people when he was a child. But let me just show you a bit more back to the science. Yes, a woman has female chromosomes. A man has male and female chromosomes. Yes. So now, a woman, if you just use only her body to create another human, that person can only have a female body biologically. Do you know this?
I understand your reasoning, yeah?
It's not reasoning, it's science.
I don't know about it.
You don't know? You can find it online anyway. People can go and check in their own time. Yes, but that's the thing. So if anybody really looks into these things and the symbols and everything, then it's just shocking. But let's go back to about the morals and the dog morals. Let's go back to that. Yes, yeah, and the reasoning maybe it wasn't enough, but we'll talk about it next time if you haven't got onto that. It's a deep subject. So now the mysteries of Osiris. So all these religions all over the world are now based on this religion of Osiris. You see, and then so that's what it is. Yes, and carry on, because I stopped you. Regarding Osiris.
Regarding Osiris, Albert Pike wrote that such was the origin of modern Freemasonry. The legend of Osiris was revived and adopted. In simple
Okay.
terms, almost all secret societies and religions around the world are based on the model of the ancient Egyptian religion of Osiris.
Yes. So now the thing is, many people, nobody seems to condemn it. All these religions, it's almost like there's one religion that's at war. Yeah, so with all of these religions, call it Hinduism, Judaism, Buddhism, many people will try to say that the religion is peaceful. Many people will say, no, it's not. It's because of the way it talks. And the thing is, so Freemasonry, anybody who knows it or history or anybody who studied religions will recognize and will know that they're all based on this Osiris religion. Yes, in one way or another. Yes, and many of the things they do. So now you could carry on reading here. The next thing about Osiris, basic introduction.
Osiris is pronounced as Ozar or Uzer. According to ancient Egyptian mythology, Osiris was the first son of the earth god. Many religions
Yes,
are based on the model of the religion of Osiris or Uzair, but the Arabic Koran, the holy book of Islam, condemned people who said that Uzair or Osiris was the son of God. Why?
yes, this is strange. It's because many people think that this religion of Osiris doesn't exist. Yes, the Quran says that these people, it says the Jews call Osiris the son of God. We don't seem to see that in Judaism. So now, if you're looking for who these alleged Jews are that the Quran mentions, you found them in Freemasonry and the leadership in all these other religions, and they've, invented these religions. And they put made them different, different names. You could say Buddha, Krishna, Christ, and all these other things, but they're based on these principles and these ideas. Yeah, and based on these systems, that if anybody has a look, that you will find this. So that's what the morals and the dogma itself it is. So that's what this dog is that Albert Pike is talking about. And the thing is, if people have a look at this, so this is, they claim it's from the 19th century, but the evidence shows that these books by Albert Pike were probably being written in the early 20th century and then published then, or in the late 19th century, and they weren't written by him at all. There's no evidence to show that at all. But anyway, well, let's see what Albert Pike says about Islam. You could read it.
Regarding Islam, Albert Pike said it is absurd to think that men of intellect recognized Muhammad as an inspired prophet. The Arabic Koran did not accept the religion of Osiris. Albert Pike, Grand Commander of the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree, clearly did not like the Prophet Muhammad. Why?
Yes. If anybody reads any of his books, like this, for example, Morals and Dogma and many others, you'll see he talks about world history. And he talks about many things, and then he doesn't give the secrets away. You'll spend hours, days trying to figure out what he's saying. Yes, and he talks about many religions and things like this. And then you come across this, and you turn around and think, hey, and now they've tried to integrate Muslims into Masonry for the last 150 years. But everyone really knows when you read that, is basically saying it's crazy, it's insane to think that these intelligent men, or the businessmen, yes, or these wise men who created symbols, or brainwashing people, yeah, who created these idols, that they recognized Muhammad as an inspired prophet. He's saying it's crazy. So basically, in those, from his own words, what would you say? How do they see Islam?
I don't like it.
Yeah, this is the supreme. He's the grand commander of the Supreme
Of
Council
course,
of
which
the degree.
makes sense, especially if it is, as you say, that in Islam there is, well, and there is even officially a grand prohibition against idolatry that is maybe more effectively enforced
Yeah.
or
It's not just
done.
that. It's strange that the Quran talks about saying that these people, and it calls them Jews in translations, I mean, yes, it turns around and says that these people have taken Osiris or Ozer as a model, or whatever, in a way, as a son of God. And we can see it now, that they've given it different names around the world. Yes, and different things, and they've adapted it, as Albert Pike has said, and they've based it on that system. So as we can see, the Quran condemns it. So it shows what Islam is about. Islam will never, never, yes, be able to accept all these systems, or Masonry, or any of these other religions, no matter how many people think that this new world order and system is going to work. Yes, Islam is never going to accept it. We can see it in the core documents of the Quran, that it condemns this system whereby they've declared Osiris is the son of God. It doesn't matter what language or how they translate Osiris, and they create it into another character or another idol, yes, or whatever. It's clear. You can see it in the book. Yeah, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, just mentioning that this great opposition between using idols and symbols, and like you said, in the mosque it's boring, And
Not
so,
me. No. We were reading, a
right,
Christian document.
we're reading a
Yes,
document where someone said in the mosque, but just in terms of it's less decoration, there's no idols and so on
there's
in
nothing.
actuality. And
There's
of course,
nothing.
that's a big difference because you need that to imagine these things, to replicate the
Brainwash
story,
people.
and then to get
Yes,
moved into the abstract. So that's very
yes.
important, yeah. But it's a nice
It's
way because in this way, and was even in a documentary, some people may know it. This was supposedly, this also would be interesting to investigate, the first viral online documentary ever, which was called Zeitgeist. And this
yeah.
aspect that Osiris is copied over almost all religions is also in that movie. Maybe some people have seen it. But of course, there is no mention of the Quran in that movie.
Ah, yes, it's because many people, the world doesn't want to accept that Islamic history is throughout the world. It's like this, and it's the only one that refuses this symbolism and brainwashing. And they know symbols, statues, alphabets are symbols. A, B, C, D, E, F, G are symbols. Yes, Alpha and Omega are symbols. The Shin, the Vav, and all these other things, like you said, the Yod in Hebrew, they're symbols. Now, in Arabic, modern Arabic, they've invented it to create it into symbols. But when we just look at Arabic 100 years ago, it's like there was different shapes all over the world. It was just your handwriting. So the thing is, they know that based on handwriting, many people will, even the handwriting brainwashes you, the presentation of a book, whereas the Quran is just an oral book. It's not presentable.
Right.
When people look at it, they turn around and think, ugh, it looks like somebody's messy handwriting. I'm being serious to you. When people think of Islam saying it's boring, there's nothing there. It's like it's ugly. There's no decorations. There's nothing. Nothing because they're not planning to brainwash you. They're just going to simply tell you this is the world history and this is what do you call it in this oral book. Yeah, that they've passed down from generations. I could trace it back to 200, 300 years. Before that, I don't know. I'm not going to lie or anything. Yeah. So Albert Pike, let's look at his life story. Yes, he was like the greatest ever Freemason, you could say, in the last 200 years. Of course, they'll name other names of non-existent people, but let's see if Albert Pike existed. You could read this regarding Albert Pike.
So this is regarding Albert Pike. The world is told that he was an American. He once walked 800 kilometers. He also
Whoa!
and he
Go on.
also wrote thousands of pages of books and letters and articles. And he was a political leader and a lawyer, and he was an army general.
Very
This,
busy man. Carry on.
indeed, the story of this life seemed to have been invented almost as if he did not exist. If that is the case, then it means that someone else wrote his books.
Yes, we got a mega serious problem here. I want you to tell, Raphael. Why don't you try walking 800 kilometers?
Yeah, not the first thing that comes to mind, but some people are just special, or they are amalgamated
Ah, yes.
historical individuals.
Oh, yeah. These stories are so amazing. They wrote thousands of pages. Yes. And if anybody reads those pages, they'll realize they don't give away any of the secrets unless if you're chosen. Yeah, right. But many people seem to think it's mysterious, chosen, occult, this and that. The magic is this, same like it's humans. You chose to be brainwashed. They didn't just brainwash you by accident. You see? Yes, you chose it because you saw a girl based on the shape of her body, or a boy based on the shape of his body, on how he looks, how he smiles, how he does his hair, how he does his perfume or makeup, or she does. You know what I mean? Yes. So that's the magic. You see, so a lot of the magic is to do with sex, believe it or not. That's why many of the writing and many of the stories are sexually based. Believe it or not,
Hmm.
a lot of world history, and then they've organized it astronomically or even to do with body parts or with geography. Like when I said squaring the circle, let me just show you now. So why they say that I'm squaring the circle? Because the reality is this. What do you see in this picture more? When you go out into the real world, do you see squares or circles?
If anything, I would say circles.
Yes, circular shapes. So now we're building an artificial world based on squares
Right.
and world layouts, even cars, windows, writing, everything. It doesn't matter if it's a perfect right angle or 60 degrees in the right angle or, things like this, or if it's like triangular or pentagon or angles or whatever. Yeah, so the thing is, we have become artificial. So now in the artificial thing, they've made sure that they brainwashed you from a magic age, from a young age, for the spell, the spelling. It started from the writing. It started from the writing, especially. That now people are now stuck. They can't go to nature. When they look at nature, they think it's ugly. They do. Yeah, it's like many people will say Arabic is the most ugliest because it's a handwriting. It is. People say it.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard those stories. Don't like it. Yes. And many other languages, it's well known. Every language that they've taught, like for example, what they've done, this standard normal English, I'm saying normal English, like, say, time you come out tonight, oh, I can't be bothered. He's just talking a load of crap. This is normal English. For me, anyway, in Manchester. He's just talking a lot of crap. I can't be bothered. I met him last night. He was just going on with himself. With himself. What does
Mm-hmm.
with himself mean? With himself.
Right.
So this is the real thing. So now when it comes to Arabic, because they've invented a fake Arabic because they want it to be like with himself, my dear. Oh, good morning, jolly chap. Yes, what time do you call this? I've been waiting an hour now, and yeah, etc. So even in German, they've got it. They've invented the speech. So now in Arabic, they've not managed to do it yet. They've invented a modern classical Arabic, which they're saying it's ancient,
Right.
and then given it fraudulent
But
meanings. So
nobody
now
speaks
that's why.
it.
Yes. So now when anybody has a look at the Quran, there's going to be all these websites and people who are trying to say, look at these tenses, look at this meaning of these Arabic words and everything. We know the meanings and everything. They're just a bunch of liars because the Quran is just in common language. It's not, you can say the Quran's in German or the Quran's in Slavic because many of these words are in Slavic. There's only 500 words in the Quran for the majority of the Quran. And I'm going to show this now. Um, for 80% of the Quran, yeah, or something like that. So 500 like root words. When I say root words, I'm not talking about the fake roots that people are talking about. Like there's one type of root word, like when we say good morning, that's two root words, good and then morning. Now then there is the other one where the so-called expert linguists will want to say good has got two roots, G, J, and then D, or maybe three, G, U, D. Then somebody will say morning has got M or R, and then ning or ng. You play with these things. But the 500 basic words or something make up about 80, 90% of the Quran, depending. Yeah, you could say some people will say 70%, whatever. But 400 or 500 words. So it's easy to know that, and that's it. What the Quran is. This was the global language before. So so the Quran, you could say, what do you call it? It's written in German. You see, because most of these words you'll even find them in German, Old German, in many of the dialects, or even in Slavic, or even in Latin. The Quran, you could say, is written in Latin, because it's only got 500 words. Whereas let's compare the Bible, and then you'll see, um, you'll find it totally different. Yes. And that's when you will turn around and think, damn, we got a very big difference here. Yes. So the Quran is for the easy person. And now many people are claiming, I got secrets of the Quran, this, that. Don't listen to them. Yes, that's why I've told people just go to the mosque. It's a simple book, simple language, and you can check it with European languages and compare it and figure it out. Yeah, it's because it has a message. If Masonry doesn't like it, and all the world's organizations don't like it, these religious and secret societies, then it means there's something about this book. Yeah, the Bible has distinct different words. I estimate about 9,000 words, maybe even more. Yes, that the thing is we can't even tell. You see, so the vocab. You see,
Right.
yes. So the thing is, it's because many people, it's difficult to figure out. But anyway, let's move on. The neck. So we've just shown Albert Pike, And I can't seem to have found a person like that to have existed. You know, these thousands of pages of books that he wrote, allegedly predicted three world wars or something. And, but it looks like many of the books were written, in the late 19th century and 20th century. They found a guy and used his photographs and used his name and said, hey, whatever. And if his family exists, they get the money and things like that. He was a war hero, war general, this, that, everything, fake photos, probably hands in his pockets, everything. And he wrote those books. No, there's somebody else above them, above the Freemasons, who wrote these books. In the same way that if you look at Hinduism, you'll know there's somebody else above these, some of these priests, somebody else above. Yeah. So now let's move on to the other Albert, the other greatest Mason in the last century, 19th century, I mean, was called Albert G. Mackey. You could read this. Yeah, there was another man.
There was another man who allegedly lived at the same time as Albert Pike in America called Albert G. Mackey. He was a 33rd degree Freemason with the Scottish Rite and a member of the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree, and he was connected to Albert Pike.
Closely connected. Yeah, carry on. Next sentence.
Both men had the same first name, Albert. Albert G. Mackey also wrote thousands of pages of books and letters and articles on similar subjects as Albert Pike. Albert G. Mackey also served in politics, and he wrote about law, and he was in the army. It was almost as if he also did not exist and someone else wrote his books.
Yeah. So the thing is, they turned around and thought, we'll call this one Albert this one Albert that, etc. Yeah. So the thing is, these people wrote. So now let's see what this other greatest Mason, from the 33rd degree, and from the Supreme Council also. Let's see what this guy had to say. Yes. And so you could read it. Has it got through? Yes, you could read it.
The work of Albert Pike and Albert G. Mackey are very important in many secret societies. Albert G. Mackey said that there were two major ways to teach Freemasonry, by historical legends and by using symbols. He said that the only way to investigate Masonry was through the symbolism.
Okay, so now when we look at what is Masonry, Masonry has adopted the system of Osiris. That's what Masonry is. Yes? So now all these other religions around the world are following the same Masonry, and they've adapted the system of Osiris. So now this, what he said, the machinery, the free machinery, yes, applies to all the other religions. Do you see this? Yes?
Oh,
So
yes.
how are you going to teach people Hinduism or Freemasonry? It's just a different name, a different brand. What you will do it by historical stories, which they know are legends, and you'll do it by using symbols. The symbols could be alphabets, Sanskrit letters, Latin letters, Greek letters, Hebrew letters. And the only way to investigate and know the truth of this masonry was through the symbols, the actual characters themselves. You see? Yes, like when you're looking at the alpha, beta, and the gamma. When you
Makes
look
sense,
at
yeah.
it, yes, that's when you will know how old the character is. What's the design of the shape? That's when you will be able to figure it out if the manuscript is really old and what was the purpose of writing a manuscript exactly in that design. So that's what it is. So they're teaching this not just in Freemasonry, in the top circles of Freemasonry, in the top circles of modern Islam, because they've invented the modern Islam Hadith history. By the way, in this book, I go through I go through the historical documents in Islam, and the story of Aisha and other stories of that they say that God's got a leg and God's got body parts, and what do you call it? How they forged the manuscripts. Like, for example, there's two major Quran websites online. I mentioned the Quran. It's because we don't have the original oral Bible, or the oral New Testament, or the oral Vedas, or the oral sutras or tantras. We don't have any of these things. But there's two major websites that people look for the Quran word for word, and the translations are 90% okay, but the 10% forgery is 100% Masonic. It's 100% Masonic. They're designed like one is called Islam Awakened, and the other one is called corpus Quran, and they're Masonic. And the thing is, many people who are making videos, they refer to these websites on purpose because they know also they could play with your head because it's to do with the spelling. And notice they use the word God spelling. Yes, the spell, the magic spell. So that's what they've done by creating these websites. But if somebody else is smart enough, they'll be able to figure it out and they will know, oh my God, I can see what they've done. My book goes through it, where in these websites, they've actually changed the Quran itself, even the spelling. Yes, and then that changes the meaning, the past tense, the future tense, or whatever. Whereas, in simple language, you turn and say, well, so I ain't talking. I said, what is wrong with him or what is up with him? Why is he not talking? So when we talk common language, now that is how the Quran is. But what they have done is broken down the Quran into alleged root words on alleged spellings that you don't find in the oral Quran. Or they based it on the Egyptian manuscript. Yes, in the Egyptian manuscript of the Quran, yeah, you've read the book Secrets of the Kabbalah.
Right.
Yes, that book shows the evidence that those manuscripts are a total fraud. Yes, it's a total fraud, and the spelling of that is a fraud. And many of the other websites they use different Qurans. But anyway, in the book, 33rd Degree, I go through some of these spellings to show not just in the Quran but in the Bible itself how they played with the spelling. It's a spell because that's what it is. So what they do is they show you this history in these religions. That's why most religions focus on history and these legends, and they use these to brainwash you. And then because the historical legends, it can't be proved. The Crusades and many of the things, it can't be proved because you go to the Middle East and you turn around and think, I've shown it in my book. What's that book called? Um, you know, um, Jerusalem is in Europe. I've shown it's one of the biggest lies ever. We can't even find this Jerusalem in the Middle East, this great city, and Christianity is based on a lot of hate on the history of the Crusades. Because if you don't have the hidden enemy, like they always say, then you can't bring in many of these laws or make people believe things more. It makes people love something more when you think something's in danger. You see? Yes?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, like September the 11th, we're under attack. We need to have more laws, more control, things like this. Yes? Coronavirus, you know what I mean. Yeah, we also had their restrictions. And now many of these restrictions are still continuing. Yeah. So it's like the people in power. So what they've done is a lot of them, they know. That's why Albert Mackey called them historical legends. He said the two modes of instruction in Freemasonry. Freemasonry is based on the religion of Osiris, the most ancient of the ancient systems. And that's what all these other societies and religions are doing worldwide. Not only societies, but nation states, that you instruct people or brainwash people by these historical stories, and you use symbols, statues, pictures in textbooks, everything. That's what we see when many people make videos of history, yes, or even in Tatari groups, they keep showing you buildings, they keep showing you many paintings, many other things. Nobody's showing you any evidence, and you do it by legends and symbols, and you could actually legends and symbols. Yes, and you could read the this again. What does Mackey say? What do you call it? By legends and symbols. And what's the next line?
There's two modes of instructions in Freemasonry, by legends and by symbols. There really is no radical difference between the two methods.
Yeah, there's no difference between the two methods of brainwashing people around the world. Yes, it
And
doesn't matter. Yes, the symbolism.
a
Yeah.
symbolism of Masonry is the only way to investigate its philosophy, but that's like as a trap, no?
So let's use easy words. Philosophy could mean anything. Planet Zog. Yeah, the symbols of the machinery is the only way to know how they're brainwashing you. That's
Hmm.
called modern English. Yes. So that is the only way you're ever going to know. So now let's have a look to be more clear. So let's turn around and see what Albert G. Mackey himself said. So it's not me. We saw what this Albert Pike said. Let's see what this other Albert said. These two fake people, yes. Other people wrote them, and it's other people high above because they're training people. So what did they say? You could read it. Albert G. Mackey, what he said. Um, he said that the
Albert G. Mackey said that the ancient Egyptian religion had more symbolism than the Jewish religion. The Jewish religion had more than the Christian religion, and the Christian religion had more than the Muslim religion. In simple terms, Islam had the least symbolism. He also said that mankind can be instructed in the abstract knowledge of truths only by symbols and parables.
what's abstract, by the way? He said abstract knowledge of truth. What is abstract?
Yeah,
What is it?
abstract simply means something that is detached or removed from reality, like a theory. It's
So it's
abstract
like
versus concrete. Yeah.
so they're going to be sending us to the moon and saying Neil Armstrong went there, 20 different
For
times.
example.
Yes, that's it. Theories. So they're going to be theories and history, and they're teaching you these so-called alleged legends and other stories in all these religions, and they're using symbolism, stories, legends, everything. And the one that's doing it the least, they're brainwashing you. The one that's doing the least type of any type of symbolism or anything is actually Islam. This is actually very scary. It's scary, isn't it, Raphael?
In a way, yes.
It's scary. They're brainwashing you on purpose. They're saying we're going to teach you abstract truths. That means they're going to be teaching you things, abstract knowledge of truth only by symbols and parables, they call it. Yes, these so-called historical legends, which are detached, they're removed from reality.
Yes.
It's same like saying, I'm going to be teaching you Bullstein, and you're going to believe
Yes.
it.
Yes, yes.
This is scary. And that's what they've done all over the world. Nationalism, history, everything. People believe this history now. George Washington in America, in France, Napoleon Bonaparte. People just believe in these historical characters. Adolf Hitler in Germany. Yes, you know what I mean? They just believe in it. Stalin, Lenin in Russia, Chairman Mao in China, Hideki Tojo in Japan. People believe half these legends that they're told, or even in the religions. Rama, Sita, Krishna. Yes, Shiva, all these other things. People believe it. Buddha and his disciples and the Mahamudra or the Mahamudra or Jesus Christ, John the Baptist, half these legends that they're told. People believe it. People believe these legends now. Yes. The one with the least type of symbolism, the symbolism it has no difference, is the legendary stories, the historical legends, and the actual statues and other things. The one with the least is actually Islam. So now let's see what Albert Mackey says, because Albert Mackey goes a bit more into how to brainwash people. Yes, he teaches it. Yes, these are the philosophies that you use in many companies. That's why many companies have Masons, you see, because you will realize how you are going to use a brand or marketing, or it's called brainwashing. Yeah, you want to make money. That's what religions are. So let's see what he says. What is the purpose of he describes them as Masonic stories. You could read it. He said that.
Yeah, the object of the Masonic legends is not to establish historical facts, but to convey philosophical doctrines.
You mean you're telling me the object of these legends is not to know true history, but to brainwash me with something they want to
To
teach?
learn some important Masonic principle, yes.
Whose principle that you've
Their
decided, or
principle, of course.
I see. So okay, so at first it sounds like this is just exactly theirs, but when we say masonry, because it's not masonry, they are following the system of Cyrus. Yes.
Right.
So are all these other religions. They follow the religion of Osiris and the exact system and the exact methods. So they're all using these legends and these histories, and it's not important if it's true or not. The purpose is to brainwash you. And those are the type of people that you're going to see who become directors because they understand these things. Yeah, I've been vice presidents, I've been directors in many companies, with hundreds of people working for them. It's because I understand these concepts and these principles of how to brainwash people. No, I mean of how to marketing in a brand, in a company. Sorry. Yes. Uh, what's the difference between it?
You
Yes.
tell me, yeah.
Actually, I'm not sorry. I said that on purpose so that you wake up. It's because people like me, because I understand these secrets, I'm going to get the higher pay. It's because I know what marketing is. It's just a bunch of lies. Yes, it's to control you, get your cash. You see? So those are the things. I've never talked about my career before because I'm not one of these people. There's many people with channels who are saying I'm X this or X that, whatever. I want people to go off based on the information and the work that I show. That's why on the front cover of my books I haven't done any artistic designs. I've just put me on so that my parents and friends could see and see, yeah, he's traveled, he's published a book. There you go. So yeah, I don't even care if people are reading the information or not. But I know the information is very good and valuable because people can check it. But anyway, let's read what Albert Mackey said. Now, this is the biggest joke. You can read it. This is the joke for the Osiris and these global religions, how all these people at the top think. This is how they think. The priests, the directors, the politicians, the religious leaders. It doesn't matter if you think that, oh no, we're Protestants, oh, we're this, our priest is nice and whatever, our organization, whatever. This is how they think. Go ahead, read it. Albert G.
Albert G.
Mackey
Mackey
said.
said regarding the problems of history, such as the establishment of empires, the discovery and settlement of countries, or the rise and fall of dynasties, the knowledge of the truth or falsity of the legendary narrative will be of importance.
Stop. That means it's very important that we know the truth
Yes.
or the lie. Yes, for us, for the normal people, that's you who's listening. It's important. You want to know what is the truth. Was the Roman Empire there? Who discovered Canada? Who discovered America? Who discovered Australia? Who went to live in which city first? Like I've shown that Saudi Arabia was half empty, so was the Middle East, so was Latin America, so was many other parts of the world. So people want to know the rise and the fall of the dynasties. Like we talk about the Habsburg dynasty in Austria. Yeah, we talk about the Holy Roman Empire and Otto the Great and their dynasties. Yes, even the Hebrew biblical dynasties, or the Russian dynasties, or the Chinese dynasties, or the Indian dynasties, or the Mongol or the Mughal dynasties. We want to know the Caesars, who ruled when. It's very important. Yes, it's of importance. But carry on. Let's see what Mackey says. This is very important. Go on.
But in Freemasonry, the true.
Stop. What is Freemasonry again? Freemasonry is they've adopted the system and religion of who?
Osiris.
And who is this followed by? Worldwide? Who?
Well,
All of
everyone
them.
except the Muslims,
All
it
of them.
seems.
Yes.
Or except the
So
Koran narrative, yes.
yes. So now all these people around the world, what do they say? In Freemasonry, carry on.
The truth or the falsity of the legend was not important.
What? Say that again.
In Freemasonry, the truth or the falsity of the legend was not important.
And this legend, what he's saying is regarding the problems of history, the establishment of empires, the discovery and settlement of countries, or the rise and fall of dynasties, that if you realize, yes, it's in the same paragraph, he's referring to that subject and saying all of it, yes, for Freemasonry, for the students and the people who are getting initiated so that you're a future director or a future priest, yes, for you, you don't give a damn. Yes, you don't care and you don't want to establish this truth. For you, it's not important at all. And like he said before, the only importance is to brainwash with their doctrine, whether it's a company, yes, that you're working for, what do you call it? Yes, you're working for Amazon. Your doctrine is that you got to get the sales, you got to get the cash, you got to do the advertising, the image, etc. You see, it's just a philosophical doctrine of how to brainwash somebody because you know how people think sexually. You see? Yes,
Mhm.
you see? And the sexual aspect, I go it more into the book. We've not even started that. So now what we will do is, for example, so then he gives an example, yes, and he shows an example is, let's say, the legend that they teach in the third degree of Freemasonry. He gives this as an example, but the example just gives it away, yeah, of how people think, because I've had very good jobs, and I thought like that too, yes. In my family, when we do business, some people are business people, they think like that too. It's actually good to think like that in business. It's because business is about profits. So are religions. It's about profits and results, which many people don't understand. Yes. So the thing is, and the only one that isn't is this book, Oral Quran, that they've got, and it's talking about saying none of this matters. But in the Bible, it will say, "Oh, well, find the truth; it'll set you free." Because what they do, it seems like when you're buying a product, yeah, it'll say this is bad for you. Please note in small writing, but the product's good for you for this and that. So it's like they marketed something. Yes, they mix truth with lies. Unfortunately, I'm sorry if you are from any of these other religions, but anybody who studied even Freemasonry, or even the Knights Templar, or the modern group, not the old one, or even the Knights of Malta, or even the Jesuits and many of their charters in many of these organizations, then you will understand this better. You can go and read it yourself, yes? Or you could read my new book, 33 Degrees. So let's see what Albert G. Mackey said.
Albert G. Mackey said regarding the legend of the third degree, what importance is it to the disciple of Masonry whether it is true or false? He does not see it necessary except as a matter of curious or antiquarian inquiry to investigate its historical accuracy or to reconcile any of its apparent contradictions. In simple terms, the truth is not important to many secret societies and religions. As long as someone learns an idea or theory that they wish to teach, which they have chosen, and then they are happy. Ideas can be taught through symbols or art or idols or history or religion, and the truth was not important.
Yeah, carry on.
Many members of secret societies and religions are politicians and teachers and historians. These are the people who wrote world history during and after the Renaissance, and the truth was not important to them. These are the people who invented the religions of the world. These are the people in power around the world.
Okay, now the main thing is he gives an example. This is just an example. He says, like, for example, the legend of the third degree. What importance is it? Who cares? Yes, if you about the disciple of Freemasonry, who cares if the story that we're telling him, and we're telling him this is history? Who cares if it's true or false? And then the student, he doesn't even see, he doesn't realize if it's necessary or not, except thinking, hey, let me just check if this is a little true or whatever. Yes, and he doesn't care to fix the story, even if it contradicts itself. Same like everyone knows it's a contradiction. God is the Father, but then God's the Son at the same time. And then God prays to the Father. That's like God praying to God. Yes? And then God turns into a ghost. But he's not a normal ghost, God. God's a holy ghost. You see? He's a ghost. Yes? But it's like you turning around saying, I am God. My son is God. But then my son prays to me. Yes? But then I control my son. But my son's God, so he can control me. But we're actually the same person. It's contradictory, all these
Right.
religions, even in the history, that if you just have a look at, they call this history, but many people don't realize it. Joan of Arc, for example, if you're in France, hardly anybody in France, hardly anybody, they just learn it in school. Hardly anybody thinks to investigate the history, thinking this story sounds like garbage. Yeah, and the story doesn't even make sense. The battles and even the way that they've described, the arches and the bows, and even many of the things, and they don't even turn around and think, hey, how were they wearing these metal things? Some of them, the forgeries in many of them, that in many museums they're too heavy. How are they going to move around compared to the light armor and other things and the thousands of people? How did they transport these people? How does the dating match? What about the manuscripts? Even the typing on the manuscripts? Yes. How could they have written this story? Where is the original manuscript? Nobody cares. You've just taught them a legend. Yes, a story that you've made
Right.
up. So that's a disciple of a Masonic state, what we call a nation state today called France. So it's not just religions because countries are actually companies. They're teaching you something whereby they can brainwash you and control you. And there's one group that's opposing them. Let's see what Albert G. Mackey says about this, and the rest of them. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. And what do you call it? And there's many things. I put a moderate thing here, but you could find hundreds of articles online by Freemasons that what do you call it? Islam is incompatible with Freemasonry or with any of these world religions. Like you could read it. This is from a Masonic website. There's many similar
So I
websites.
want to read
Yeah.
what it says on the site itself. This is from Freemasonry, freemasons-freemasonry.com, about Freemasonry in Islamic countries. Most Masons are aware, although perhaps only vaguely, that Islamic countries in general, and the religion of Islam in particular, have a problem with Freemasonry.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It basically turns around and says, it's like it turns around and says, God's at war with them. There's a curse on these people. Yes, it basically says these people, who are following these things like the system of Osiris, and it calls them Jews. Yes, in the Quran. Yes, that these people who are following the system of Osiris. Now, modern Judaism follows many of the systematic things, but they don't say that Osiris is the son of God. So the thing is, it's actually when the Quran refers to these people, it's actually talking about these so-called generals in masonry and generals and priests and the people in power who are practicing this religion of Osiris. Yes.
Hmm.
Uh, um, and the religion of Osiris, we can see it, what they did in ancient Egypt. So now the thing is, it's like because the Bible, they did this 200 or 300 years ago, people cannot investigate this. Yes, it's because we don't have the original Bible with us today. Now, the thing is, I'm going to show an example here. We actually have the oral Quran. So I want to show what they're doing, what would be described as Masonic. Yes, and there's many people who are supporting this. It means that many people who follow it don't realize it, that they grew up in a Masonic society. So now they think in a Masonic way. Yes, because if you went to a Jesuit school, obviously you're going to think like a Jesuit person. If you went to a business school, yes, you come out thinking in a business minded manner, because if you passed, of course, and if you understood it and if you excelled in it. Yes. So now in the West, many people don't realize we live in these what you would call a Masonic or the system of Osiris. Yes, and where the symbolism and everything, we're surrounded by it. Yes, the
Oh yeah.
spelling, the
Hmm.
spell, the words. Yes, well, we don't realize it. So many people who are saying, "Hey, wake up," things like this, they're not going to be able to wake up unless they totally remove themselves from these surroundings. They're It's like they wanted to square the circle, and they've done it. The moment you're inside the cities, everything's a square, basically, or rectangle, like I said, like you
Hmm.
said, pointed out. Yes, so the thing is, like are the angles. So as you could see, squaring the circle, that's what they've done. Yes, they've removed the nature. Yeah, so now I'll give you an example. Like for example, the thing is, I've got used to it now. I'll even play it from a website. It's like then we will see how they modified many of these other religions that had original texts, and because we don't have them anymore, we can't find them anymore. Yes, but you could read this. What do Muslims say?
Muslims say the words. You need to pronounce this, please.
No, try.
A'udhu billahi min ashaitan nirajim. This
Yes.
basically means I seek the protection of God from Satan. This is very common in Islam.
It's a very big thing because there you pronounce it. Now I want you to just pronounce um, this bit um, 5 more times exactly how you did it before. Just this part.
So like a recitation.
Yeah, and try and do it fast. Yes.
A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytanir rajim. A'udhu billahi min. Yes?
Just that part that I've typed out.
Oh,
Just that part.
I have to see what you typed out. Min ash-shaytanir rajim.
Faster.
Min ash-shaytanir rajim. Min ash-shaytanir rajim. Min ash-shaytanir rajim. Min
Yes.
ash-shaytanir
Yes.
rajim.
Now, the Quran is oral. Now, believe it or not, we've got millions of people, billions of people in the last few centuries who've been repeating those words. Yes? They've been repeating it, so it's difficult to modify those words. Yes? And so it's difficult. Yeah? Because people know it by heart. You see? It's an oral book. And that means seek refuge from, Satan, Mina Shaitan al Rajim, from Satan, the dog or whatever they want to call him, the devil. But here is the Quran. This is actually in the Quran. Let me just show you how they pronounce it. Yeah, it's an oral book. This is very important because now I will show you what the spelling is. It's like magic. Now, this is chapter 16, verse 98 of the Quran. So do you know what they've done? Yes, and now there's many people who are using these websites. The Quran is an oral book. Now, the website gives you the basic meaning. That's okay. Yes, because many people want to know the basic things. They're sat at home. That's fine. But now what they have actually done, what I did is I showed this in my book, what's that book called? Kabbalah. Yes, in the Kabbalah, I showed how they did it and what they exactly did with, the Quran manuscripts. But now in the 33rd degree, I go into something deeper compared to the book Secrets of the Kabbalah. You read it, The Secrets of the Kabbalah. It shows the history of how they invented the manuscripts. Yes. Now this new book, it goes into the spelling, and so now in Europe and America, many Muslims, they're modern. They think they're Quranists. They sit online and they're trying to interpret the meanings of the Quran, and they go from the manuscripts. One, the manuscripts are forgeries, and two, I'm even going to show here, it's because everybody knows this. This is one of the most biggest shocking things in the world. Yes, that even you are going to think, I can't believe this. Yes, that now I want you to pronounce the same words. I've highlighted them, that I'm copying it from two of the biggest websites. Yeah, and I want you to pronounce it how they have written it and how they've done the spelling in the manuscript. Now that min ash-shaytanir rajim is so common. We're talking about even 5-year-old children know it. Millions of them around the world, or billions in the last century alone. Can you make a mistake if billions of people are repeating this one sentence, even if you've not
No.
memorized it? You can't. So now I want you to see it even in the spelling. And what they've done here is the word transliteration means pronunciation, basically, of the spelling. I want you to pronounce how they've written it with those Arabic letters there.
Mina, is it an L?
Yes,
Minal Shaitanil Rajim.
Min al-Shaitan al-Rajim. They've changed it. They've changed the Quran. So now many people are going on these websites, and then they will show that this is the past participle, present tense, future tense. This is the root words. They're lying. They've changed hundreds of words compared to the pronunciation. This is, I've shown only one. I've shown but I challenged these so-called Quranists because I noticed that they're writing horrible comments. They're doing it because they don't know what I know. They didn't even notice this. So here now I'm showing Corpus Quran. Corpus Quran, I've even shown where the spelling is. This is like, for example, in this new book, 33 degrees. This is the 33rd degree. This is now to the Muslims. Yes, yes, beware. Yes, of all these Quranists who are talking about the root words. They're liars. Because what they have done based on these manuscripts could not have been written by Muslims. It seemed like, do you think an English person doesn't know how good morning is pronounced? Can you imagine? I'll show you an example
Yeah.
now. And I'll show you a very good example. Every English speaker around the world knows how good morning is. Yes, yes. Uh, Let me just show you. Yes. Now imagine I write a manuscript. Everybody knows it's good morning. I'm writing manuscripts and I'm telling people this is how to spell good morning. Read it out. The spelling. What does the spelling say?
Glolot Molorning. Yes.
Now, somebody who sees that, yes, would you think that the manuscript writers made those mistakes? If they were really English,
Yeah,
if
impossible.
I'm telling you this is
Impossible. It's impossible.
impossible. So now we've got thousands or hundreds of pages of Arabic manuscripts with all this so-called history and everything, and they're all writing down these simple, pathetic mistakes for a common words that these Muslims are repeating, and they've spelt it like Lolod Morning instead of good morning, and they've spelt it Min al Shaitan al Rajim. And then when you open it up, it's even worse what these criminals are doing. What these criminals are doing is that they're showing other examples, then they're telling you they're criminals. They're telling you they've inserted fake vowels, fake consonants in manuscripts, and then they're telling you this is past tense, this is future tense, blah, blah, blah. And they're going on with themselves and they're making many videos.
Hmm.
I advise the Muslims, ignore them, stick to your mosques because that's where the oral Quran is, where the original meaning, that it's not in many of these Arabic dialects, that the original meaning has been passed down by many of the families orally, even though they don't know all the meanings because it's difficult to know many of the stories. But that's why they had a place called Mecca where they meet once a year. It's an amazing system, or several times a year, basically every day, where they sit down and they discuss the meanings. It doesn't matter if Mecca is only 100 or 200 or 300 years old, but the system has been set up. It was set up by people. I'm going to write about this soon because I know these people are lying. I've shown one example there. They've even, like we mentioned, the letter shin. Yes, yes, the shin with the fire. And the shin, what word does that sound like in Arabic?
I don't know. Arabic.
Um, in Arabic, yes. When you think of shin and the symbol, and you said like a fire, I want you to think now. What does that make you think of? A famous word in Arabic. All over the world, people are interested to know.
Well, the only one I can think of now is Sakar, but I'm not sure if you mean that.
Sakar doesn't rhyme with shin. It's
I
got to
know.
rhyme with the same.
I don't know many Arabic words.
Min?
Jinn,
Rin?
well, jinn,
Ah, what
jinn,
did you say?
jinn.
You said a magical word. And
Yes.
what are those creatures made from?
Spirit or something?
The Quran said it. We've discussed this before, that God made them from a type of humans were made from, according to the Quran. Yes, it says that humans were made from like the elements, like earthly things, and the jinns were their spirits. What were they made from? Gas, the air.
Hmm.
Yes, a type of fire, a type of air. So, and the thing is, when you notice shin and the flame, yes,
Hmm.
remember this, and the three and the W, and it resembles the Trinity. There's more to this conspiracy. Yes. So the thing is, many Muslims, what I've done is that they can check this themselves. They can go to Hadith Sahih al-Bukhari. Yes, 7439. And this will show you that the Muslims didn't write the Hadith, even these alleged Muslim writers and translators. Let me just to show you that even the translators are liars, that you know that they must be Masonic minded are people who know the secret. They know the secret of the shin or the jinn, that what they are doing, that if there is any people there who are, they can go and do it. They can check this Sahih Bukhari 7439. I advise them to do it. And the hadith and the history is a lie. It's a forgery. But the importance is the translation, and then they will know that the Quran manuscripts and these Quran websites are all lies, and the root words are lies. Yes, base compared to the pronunciation. So what we see here is, have a look at this. You could read this from they will say, it's highlighted with blue. 2 lines before that, start from there. The prophets, and then it will be said to them.
And then it will be said to them, do you know any sign by which you can recognize him? They will say, the shin.
Why does it say this? I want people to check the Arabic. I've already checked the Arabic. And the translation, they're lying. Even the original doesn't say shin. That's one. But it doesn't matter if the hadith is fake, because they're using the same dictionaries to translate the Quran. So now let's go to the Quran itself. Yes? And the thing is, they are all telling lies. I'm just showing 1 or 2 words. There's a reason why they use the shin. There is a reason why. And the thing is, they've all done this in half the translations. Yes, like here, like have a look at this. First, let's look at the translations, then we'll look at it word for word, and then you will see how they did this to the Bible. Because once you understand the symbols and the letters, then you understand the languages and how they invented the languages and how they translated Bibles, Sanskrit, and other books. So, what word? Can you see the word shin there? Can you see it? The day the shin. Yeah, the day that the shin. You can see many of them are using it. Now, when we go for word, yes, yes, and this is very serious, because the thing is, because of this verse in the Quran, many Muslims can't answer it. I've given an explained detail. In detail, I've explained these things in my book, 33rd Degree. Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, what do you call it? Yes, there's people like Sam Shamoon and these other people. Yes, and many Muslims cannot answer it. Yeah, the Muslims are even lost that they don't know this, that it's become a big topic online, millions of views, and many Muslims have now given up Islam because they're going from these websites and these manuscripts that have got fake words. They've invented the words, they've changed the spelling so that then you'll find 19 letter A's, 19 letter L's, things like this. Do you see why they did it? Yes, they inserted these letters. Then it changes the spelling and it changes the meaning. And now many people are saying Allah has got a shin or a leg. So now another thing is, my book explains it. One, it doesn't say the word shin there. Yes, and two, they're even lying about the words. Yes, and many of these people who are like the so-called Quranists, it's not like I'm taking sides, but I'm telling people the only Quran there is the oral one. So let's have a look at this. Now, I want you to look at this. What is the word, according to here, word for the word shin? What do you see?
Sakin, it says here.
Yes, sakin. Even the spelling, how they've done the spelling there, is actually the same. Yes, that when somebody, an expert, reads this modern Arabic with its symbols, yes, that there's 2 dashes at the bottom, that when you read it with the symbols, then you notice that it's what do you call it? It says sakin. So now let's go to the oral Quran. Yeah. And what we find is that in the oral Quran, it doesn't say sakin. And the next word after it is difficult. It's like, oh, you down or something. It's difficult to pronounce. It's like the wa or the e or the wow or something, or the w or the vav in Hebrew, which is difficult. Yes, but let's have a look at the actual, when the people are pronouncing it. And please remember, I'm only showing one pronunciation. Different people pronounce it in different ways. Like, I think this is an Arab person who's pronouncing it, but the Turks pronounce it different. The Palestinians pronounce it different. Yes, let's have a look at how it's pronounced here. Let's see.
يوم يكشف عن ساق وعن ساق وعن ساق وعن ساق.
Did you hear Sakin Wau or Sakyu? What did you hear?
Sakyo or Sakyu, yeah.
There was no Sak in. That's one. So why do the manuscripts have these letters Sak in, and then these Qurans online, they've done pronunciation transliteration, that they are teaching a false pronunciation. Let's go to, we've seen Corpus Quran, now we're seeing Islam Awakened. These are the two biggest websites that these Quranists worldwide use. And what have they written? Have they written Sakiu or have they written Sakinwayu? What have they written?
Sakin, there's an N there which definitely is not heard on the
I
recording.
N. Yeah, the I and the N. Sakin. Yeah, it's definitely not in the oral. So as you can see, the manuscripts, because it's there in the spelling, the manuscripts are a lie. It changes the word for word meaning of words. Then there is going to be people who are trying to show, and then it doesn't even say the word shin. The word sak actually means leg. The word shin means something else. It's a specific bone or specific part of something which is scientific. And the Quran is actually written in simple language. Oh yeah, even these pathetic so-called Quranites, people say this pathetic joke. I call it a joke. This man who claims that the Prophet Muhammad lived in that, Hijaz, the north of the Hijaz, the Petra region, which is at the top of the mountains. What's it called? Samgarans, some people say. Even he uses the word shin in his translation because he knows, maybe, like I know. Yes, many of these people know. So here is, somebody sent it to me on my phone that you could see it's a screenshot. So because somebody sent it to me and they asked me about it, so that's why I've got it. So that's why I can send it to you. That he's even put the day the shin. Yes, he's used that word on purpose. This is explained more in the book. Yes, so it's like there is an agenda to do with the shin. If people know what this agenda is, this has got to do with the 33rd degree. And as we mentioned, squaring the circle, the flower of life, it starts there. And so I'm just going to show this. Yeah. What do you call it? Then people can judge for themselves. And what do you call it? So Sam Garans has got his invented word, like you invented, like I could call it, David Ewingite or David Ewingism, yes, or Raphaelite or Raphaelism, a new subject. So it's like he's invented it. Quranism, Quranite, you know what I mean. That's one. The logo is the number 19. You can see it. And so now let's have a look at his Qurans. Yes, and squaring the circle. Yes, yes, and anybody who knows the secret, so he's using the shin there. This is part of, yes, Masonry and Jesuitism. This is part of the religion of Osiris to do with the shin. Yes, or the original Jews who the Quran says are following this Osiris system. So on the front cover of Sam Garan's Quran, what is the first thing that you see? When you think of squaring the circle, what do you see?
Yes, flower of life pattern.
You not just flower of life, you actually see the flower of life with the 19. Yes? Yes or no? Do you actually see it or not? Or do you need glasses, Raphael?
Yes, yes, no,
Look.
no, it's there. Yeah, of course, it's the
So
logo.
now that's the circle. Yes, it's not the logo, it's the design. But then once you've squared the circle, you've got your logo. So he squared the circle and then he made the perfect. It's got to be a perfect ashlar. People don't know. Go and study the perfect ashlar in masonry, or you could read my book. It might take you a long time to figure it out. It's got to be a perfect cube. And is the 19 inside a perfect cube? Yes or no? That he's
Yes,
written it there on his
yes.
logo. So he's squared the circle. He's done it. And he's used the shin just like these others, like Corpus Quran, Islam Awakened. So any of these people now, many of these Muslims who are showing these root words, please beware. They think Masonically because they grew up in these Masonic systems, in these Masonic nations. Their education was Masonic. Their education was based on Jesuit history. And their education, they mentally think from the symbols, from the letters, from the languages and the alphabets. And they follow the spelling and they're under the spell. Yes, and the spell and the magic, the Quran goes through it more. Yes, when it tells you the story of the two angels who came. Yes, and they gave these things and many other things. And then Solomon, when the jinn or the shin, when they were telling him these things, but Solomon didn't disbelieve. This is the story in the Quran. So I'm just telling these people because many of the people who are actually cursing me or something, they are trying to show that they're experts, investigative, that they're trying to break down words, not the basic root words, but break down a word. Like, for example, they're trying to break down and say the root words. Like, I just want you to tell me here, this is how pathetic it's become. Like what they did in the Bible to invent the meanings, like what Elijah ben Yehuda did. And we showed him before that he was a humanist. Yeah, if people want to read my book, Last Crusade. So now there's the word Ramadan. So what these people have done with their dictionaries, they've broken down the words Ra, Ma, Dan. But you could break this down and say, what do you call it? That you could break this down and say it says Rama and Dan. So that means that they're following the god Rama. Yes,
Right.
Ramadan is part of the god Ram, or Ram and Dan, or the tribe of Dan. We can invent meanings with these root words. That is part of the spelling or the magic spell. That's what they've done with the symbolism. And this is now happening to Islam, which is the last. That's why they turn around and say we're the last. Yeah, and it's happening to it. Let's see if they can succeed. These people, it's happening in the West, especially that they've inserted these letters. As you noticed, it's not Min al Shaitan al Rajim. So what is it? Yes, it's not. So you notice that there's extra letters. You saw this yourself now. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So now you've seen this yourself. So how now you can see it's a fraud. These manuscripts were not written by Muslims. And they're telling us that these letters are multiples of the number 19. Now, when you remove these artificial fake letters, do you still have this code?
Of course not. No.
So, and the thing is, when we examine the 19, we can see it's these people, yes, who are squaring the circle. They are the ones who are putting the codes there. So, unfortunately, I'm sorry, all these people who are worshipping the codes, yes, in the Bible or in Sanskrit or in the Quran, it's just a forgery. They put these codes there. Yes, can you see it? Can you see it?
Yes, yes.
Um,
It's obvious. Yes.
yeah, it's too obvious. Now, how dangerous is it that they've changed the spelling? And you've seen many of these Islamic videos online. You see them all the time. You've seen them. Even Muslims that we spoke with. Yes, that I did a video with. You've made friends with them. You've seen them. You've seen some of their videos. Are they not breaking down the words, trying to show the meanings?
Yeah, well, people do that also with the codes. I guess with the Quran, but also with the Bible. There's many people talking
Yes,
about this. So
and that's what they don't understand because we know from the oral history that in Western Europe, the oral history when people went to America from Poland, from Germany, from Scandinavia, from England, from Ireland, the people preserved it. That the Christmas tree, they preserved it. It's nothing to do with marketing. They preserved stories of the legends of the table of Christ and the Holy Grail. Yes, and the Ark of the Covenant. These things they preserved, these legendary history. So what do you call it? The history that they preserved was God's spell. This name, even though they try to force it you, it's Evangelium or Angelium. Yes, they try to force it to you, but the people know that the current Bible is God's spell. It's a magic.
mhm.
They know this. Now they've forgotten the meaning, but they're going to tell you gospel means, oh, it's a good story. It's not a good story. You can see it in the words. Yes, but then there's other people who are going to try and break it down into let's go into root words. It's not God's spell. It means go, go, and then spell. Yeah, this is what they did with the Bible, and they're doing this
Mm-hmm.
with the Quran now. It's become ridiculous. There is no codes or any of these things. Yeah, there is the basic mathematical codes. You'll find this in anything. Yeah, you could turn around and say, "Hey, I saw 10 clouds today." That's a code. That means the 10 commandments. That's it. It's divine. These clouds. It was a message. I said, hey, that's your choice. But the thing is, this specific thing that they're saying there, they've actually changed the Quran. These websites, with their pronunciation and their invented meanings and showing many of the words, they've actually totally changed the Quran,
Yeah.
which is a crime. It's a crime. I call it criminal because what they've done is that this is going to be future conflicts and future wars. Can you see? Yes?
Yes. Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, and the thing is, it's like, for example, here we've got, yes, according to the spelling, yes, and they're going to show many of these Quranist videos, websites online. They're going to say this word says this, that word says that, that is the root word. Notice it says fa, ya, ku, lu. Who said the oral Quran even says it for that verse and for the other ones? These people don't check because they are trying to break down the Islamic system. And then they will say, who set up this system and when? I'll write about that soon. And half of the history of the system, I actually put it, yes, in the book, what do you call it, Secrets of the Kabbalah. Yes, half of it is in that book where I showed where they messed up the system and the origin, and the other, and you could say a lot of it of how they're playing around with words is now in this new book. Yes, um, the new book, the 33 Degrees. Yes, if anybody wants to read it, they can read it. I've just gone through the introductory 20 pages, and I've explained a lot. So that's what this new book is about. Yes, so if people want to claim, no, Aramaic is older, this is older, that's older. Did you even study the shape of the letters? Paleo-Hebrew is older. Did you even study and examine and think? Yes, how did people write these things? What conditions they were living in that climate, or even if the climate has changed in many places. But what we can see from photographs that we can't even find, or going to these historical sites, we can't find, Jerusalem, like 1 million or 2 million people coming there in these so-called pilgrimages. There's no sleeping places, there's no hotels, there's no water. So when we look at a small thing, they're telling us 10,000 people there 150 years ago, saying, oh no, before there was millions and they developed all these advanced writing systems. Bullstein. Bullstein. You see? Yeah, so this book goes to another thing. So how they invented the 666. And they put the evidence shows that the 666 already came here, 300 years ago. Or Flamenco will say that this apocalypse happened 400 years ago. So this book goes through more through the 666, and it shows it's in the writing, it's in the letters, the spelling, and many of the things in many of these religions and other things. So unfortunately, 666 came a long time ago. Yes. Now it's just the last few final stages and a few other things. So it came a long time ago, and it goes through the secrets of many details. I break down some of the details. Some if I have time, I'll go through more in another book of the book of Revelation, and I show the forgery in this, and I show like the 616. Why is it 616 in the oldest manuscript for 666? Now, the moment you figure out 616, then you will know who actually wrote the book of Revelation. You will know it. And then you will know how old the book of Revelation is. Because if they put that number there, 616 and 666, and then the design of the letters, then you will know who wrote the manuscript and when. That is the secret of the 33rd degree. And this is explained in this new book. Do you see how advanced this book is, Raphael? I actually think it's one of the best books that I've done.
Great. I'm
It's
glad.
because people probably even knew these secrets. He doesn't even say. It's like he's enjoying himself, saying, "Hey, the apocalypse, yeah, happened, 300-400 years ago. Yeah, we can see that there is what do you call it? That there is a star sign, the Book of Revelation. for John the Evangelist, and there's other things. But Fomenko probably even knew what I knew. Yes, I'm sure that he did. Yes, that's why Fomenko managed to figure these things out. Yes, the thing is, and many of these are the people that I know. Like they said, who cares about the truth? What is important is what we want to teach because we decided it. It's because it's for our agenda. And what they're doing is a dangerous thing. They're squaring everything that's circular, the 19. And the 19 is the Alpha and the Omega, the 1 and the 9, and it's supposed to represent God. But these symbols, they played around with it because they want you to worship the symbols and the numerology instead of God himself. But that's
Right.
up to you. It depends who you think God is. This book does something else more that I've never done before. The concept of God. Yes, in all these systems, and then you can decide who God is. By the time you get to the bottom of this book, you can decide. I even asked the question on the last page. Yes, it's because I'm in this book, so I've done it because you can see it from the 33 degrees of how they've influenced your thinking of God. And then you can actually decide then, and you can decide if they're divine. You'll be able to see these things are not divine, and that's when you'll realize, damn, I've got nothing to stand on. That's why, did you notice? Before I said, when you turn on, I said Masonry, the Jesuits, and all these things, I said they've got nothing to stand on, their secrets. They've got nothing. Yes. Yeah, and in this book, I put it there. The price is a little high, but it's up to the people. Any questions, Raphael?
Thank you. I think that was a
Think
great.
carefully, not just care. Thank you. Any questions? Think.
Well, there's always more questions, but you explained many, many things. You gave a great introduction to your new book, because also I don't want to ask things which are in the book, you know. Uh, Everything else that you mentioned is also very interesting, but no, what you explained makes sense to me at least.
I've only explained the first introduction,
Of
20
course,
pages.
but even here, if
Three.
anyone has any questions or any further insights, you know, kindly comment. Everyone who's interested, of course, get the book or start with a different book, you know, and then you can see, uh, yeah, what type of information there is.
Okay, that's that. Well, anyway, I wish everyone good luck. You're living under the magic spell. You have no idea what this magic is. Yes. You have no idea what this magic is. I really don't know what to say to the world. If people
Well,
knew
then at
you're
least
going,
would you say they understand a little bit more after reading these books?
I think people will. I think people aren't ready for this information, actually. Remember how many times I talked to you at a personal level? I said, I don't know if I should release this information. Remember?
Yes, I know.
Yes?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. So the thing is, people think that they're not brainwashed in the 33rd degree. They are. Yes. People are dreaming if they think that they're far away from it, that they think I'm just going to get out with it. I found a few truths. You don't know. It's same like, do you know what it's like to get out of an abusive relationship? Because the many things
Nice
you brainwashed
example.
yourself with. Yes, you brainwashed yourself with it that I find that boy attractive. Yes, I like how he looks at me, how he touches me, how he's sweet with me. There's many things. So you brainwashed yourself. What they knew how the mind reacts with the sexual organs. This is very important. And what they did was they created these symbols based on how your sexual organs will respond to it. That's a very big thing. It's not a small matter. You see, it's such a big thing that it's big to avoid that even that's why I turn on thought on my books. I'm not going to put symbols. I even know how the fonts affect you. Like, for example, the letter A. Let me just show that guy who did the video. He did a documentary about my books. Yes, a documentary is different compared to we're just having a talk. So in the documentary, he showed many pictures of the Alpha and the Omega in Arabic writing. Look carefully at this and look at the Alpha symbol on there and the Omega symbol on there on this picture. What do you notice about the Alpha symbol there?
It's a W. No, but
No,
that's
the
the
W
omega.
is
That's the
in.
omega symbol, and the well, looks like a Japanese character, I think. No.
Yeah. So these characters, people don't understand. So alpha is supposed to be the first. Yes? Yes? Alpha is
Yes.
the first. Yes. So now I'm going to draw the alpha, and depending on the font, it could be Times New Roman or something or whatever script. So the thing is, the alpha that's drawn there is basically like this. Yes, it's the letter A. Yes, in English. So now the thing is, what people don't understand is it's sexual and it influences when somebody turns around and think alpha is God and the omega represents God. You see? So now when you look at the alpha, when you think of God, you're thinking of God now, and alpha represents God, and it's the first. This was God in the beginning. What do you imagine when you see this?
I'm not sure.
A man standing, his hands and his legs. God is a man.
Oh, okay, again. All right.
They planned it. It wasn't. I'm telling you, if people know how they planned these things, you're going to turn around and think, no, no, no. Maybe it's got another meaning. Okay, read my book. I've got no time to debate or something. It's not about agreeing. I'm actually telling you what they did in history. And then if you go through the printing presses, if you go through some of these Masonic journals, I'm talking about country to country, studied the Masonry in Turkey, the Masonry in Greece, the Masonry in Iran, the Masonry in Poland, and the French influence based from Paris, where they spread the Masons, how they wrote the dictionaries, check through each person. Like, remember, Lithuanian has got a lot of Slavic in. Is it because it's in Lithuanian, or is it because when they compiled the dictionaries in the late 19th century, early 20th century, that somebody who was working from Paris, who went to Lithuania, was actually serving, yes, when they were creating the Sanskrit dictionaries, and he said, just put these in there. That's
Mm-hmm.
why it's such a nightmare studying history. This is what they did. Yes, when they created the modern Persian dictionaries, because the Masons were trained in France, that's why there's a lot of French words in
Mm-hmm.
Persian, and many people can't figure out why. I'll just show you. You'll have to study the history of Freemasonry, not just Freemasonry, the Jesuits, yes, the Parsis in Iran, the Shiites in Iran. You have to study so many different organizations to know this. Let me just show you. And it's common that French words, what do you call it? It's known that people, that anybody who goes there, and they can't even figure out why. They turn around and say, why do Iranians use French words? People can't figure it out. Like it's even on the BBC. So they're going to say it was borrowed or something, but it's not realistic to turn around and say it's like saying English has borrowed words from Afghanistan. Afghanistan and Iran are next door to each other. Or French has got many Afghan words. Is that a realistic story to you?
No.
People, so they're not telling you. They say, in fact, there has been a long historical relationship, and you'll find hundreds of words. They're going to give you some bogus language.
Just
French was the
like with Romania and France also. Romanian and France and French, I mean.
Yeah. The thing is, and of course, they're going to tell you Romanian is a very ancient language. These Romanian nationalists and linguists, they find it hard to believe. They're just going to be fighting with you. So then they're going to give you some bogus history, Iran, France, this and that. Yes, and go through it. So you can either believe that or just go through the realistic thing. Look at photographs of Iran, yes, and look at 100 years ago, and then when you even see the word Tehran, they came from Tirana in Albania, because there was a lot of movement. And before Albania, they came from Central Europe. Many Germans who left in the late 19th century, they couldn't get to America, so they went to the Balkans. Then they arrived in Turkey. Then they were even Mustafa Kemal Ataturk for during World War One. Many Germans who were in the Balkans, yes, because of the war, Germans were forced families, they were forced to go to Anatolia. And then over there, people are looking for farmland. And they say Anatolia was invaded in World War One by the British and the French and the rest, and Italians. So they were forced to go to Iran. So then, because they arrived from Tirana, they called the city Tehran. It's not an old ancient name. They're going to give you some bogus history. And then from Macedonia, they called it Masad. Macedonia, Mashhad, is the second biggest city. That when you look at this history, you're going to think, oh my God, it looks like many of these Europeans went there. And they intermarried, of course. They were poor. They had nothing else to do. It's like, well, we didn't even finish this last video on Saudi Arabia. I want to show many, many more photos to show that modern Islam didn't come from there. Not even old Islam. We can't find anything that when you look 150 years ago, it looks like a large percentage of the population wasn't even Muslim. And another thing, many people are saying that there's a Kaaba in Yemen, things like that. That's because of the ports of Aden. Many people questioned me. Yeah, it's because they thought we'll create a fake one because people have to walk that way because many of these European ships that were robbing people dropped them off. So they stayed in Yemen. They thought the Kaaba was there. And then, it's more fertile land in the south. You could grow food. So many people stayed there. And the thing is, they came from other places like the Indian subcontinent and other places. Anyway, let's leave it at that, Raphael. Okay?
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, David.
We'll go on and on. Let's leave it at that. And if anybody wants, yes, full information, it's all in this new book, 33 Degrees. If they don't like the price of my book, you can go and buy Albert Pike's books, some of the original editions, and because they've modified them, they can go and buy some of these older ones, that cost it could cost them hundreds and thousands of dollars. Yes, and they can spend years studying. Even Albert Pike in his books, he doesn't describe any of the symbols or Albert Mackey. They don't say anything. They'll say only if you're chosen, like if you become a director or something, they're going to call it, you've moved up. It's same like working for a company. That's the truth. They're businesses, they're chartered organizations, that there's somebody else above them who's running the show. You see? Yes? That's why somebody else wrote the books. Yes?
Makes
Okay,
sense.
Raphael, let's leave it at that.
Thank you, David.
Yes? Okay. Yeah, okay.